Kento Yamazaki rubs his chin, clearly lost. He wonders where he is, swearing he was just in his room a minute ago. Checking out the medieval buildings around him, he knows he is not in Japan anymore. He catches his reflection in a window and stops dead in his tracks. He grabs his face in shock. His 30-year-old self is gone, replaced by a much younger body. A passing local gives him a strange look as he freaks out over his new youthful skin. Thinking back, he remembers doing some online shopping on his tablet before nodding off. He pinches his cheek hard, and the pain confirms this definitely is not a dream. He scans the bustling street, taking in the fantasy outfits and animal ears. It hits him that he might have been reincarnated into another world, even though he has no memory of dying. Our guy runs through the standard isekai tropes in his head. From getting summoned as a hero to a classic encounter with a truck, none of them seem to match his current situation. Massaging his temples, the stress kicks in. He has no memories of this new life and zero hints on how to survive. An idea hits him. He pulls out his tablet, hoping it might give him some answers. He manages to unlock the screen, confirming it is actually his device. But his relief vanishes instantly. He breaks down in tears when he realizes all his paid apps and photos have been wiped clean. Scrolling through the home screen, he spots several weird apps he did not download. Before he can investigate the blacked-out icons, the tablet emits a blinding flash of light. A bright system window pops up on the screen. It welcomes him to another world, explaining that the tablet is now powered entirely by his own magical energy. The reality of his reincarnation finally sinks in. He cringes realizing he died by simply falling out of his desk chair in his sleep. Plus, he still has no clue how to even cast a spell. The system notes that the device appears as a regular book to the locals. In a quick flash, the tablet shrinks down and wraps around his wrist as a sleek bracelet. A notification dings, gifting him a random bonus of over 4,000 points for being a new user. Curious, he immediately spends 1,000 points to unlock the camera app and watches it install. Staring at his point balance, he hesitates for a second. Figuring he will probably need the apps anyway, he decides to just go for it. This magical tablet is his only lifeline in a brand new world. He confidently taps the screen to unlock the rest of the unknown icons. The camera app finishes installing first, so he raises the device to test it out. Just as he prepares to snap some random pictures of the area, a towering figure sneaks up behind him. A tough-looking dude with a facial scar crosses his arms and glares down at him. He asks if our guy is from out of town since he does not recognize his face. Clutching his device tight, he freezes up and stares back. He seriously wonders if this stranger is about to pick a fight. Thankfully, the intimidating guy is just Agus, the local patrol leader. He was only checking in on a kid wandering the streets alone, making our hero let out a long sigh of relief. Explaining a reincarnation would be too complicated, so he cooks up a fake tragic backstory instead. He claims he was robbed of all his luggage and money while traveling, sweating bullets over lying to the helpful guard. Our boy decides he needs to play the part of a scared kid to avoid suspicion. Stammering, he asks what is going to happen to him. The guard promises to look for his stolen bags but admits it is a long shot. Agus suggests the fastest way to replace his ID is by signing up for a guild card. He explains the card issues immediately and skips the first-time fee. Hearing the pitch makes our hero feel like he is being sold on a sketchy rewards program. The patrol leader asks if he has decided on what kind of work he wants to do. Kento just awkwardly laughs and admits he has zero clue what jobs even exist around here. Rubbing his chin in thought, Agus asks if the kid is any good at cleaning or doing laundry. Kento nods and says he is decent enough at chores. The guard suddenly looks a little awkward and trails off as he gestures toward a large building nearby. They arrive at the patrol dorms where Kento thanks him for the place to stay despite not having an ID. Agus simply brushes the concern away. He casually mentions the seasoned fighters inside could easily take him down if he tried anything funny. The guard bursts out laughing, joking that the only things worth stealing from the crew are the dirty magazines stashed under their beds. Kento just forces a very uncomfortable chuckle to play along. Agus winks and mentions it is perfect timing since their maid just quit. As they reach the doors, he warns the kid to brace himself, leaving Kento completely confused. The patrol leader shoves the double doors wide open. He flatly announces they are stepping into a filthy, all-male house. Agus casually advises him to breathe through his mouth. Kento immediately covers his face, gagging at the overwhelming stench of a sweaty summer locker room. Upstairs, Agus opens a door and apologizes for the incredibly cramped space. Kento politely insists it is perfectly fine, even though the room is basically a storage closet. Flashing a bright smile, our hero thanks the older man. He admits he is in a serious bind and genuinely appreciates having a roof over his head. Handing over a slip of paper, Agus mentions he actually lives nearby with his wife. He reassures Kenta that the rowdy dorm guys mean well and officially welcomes him to the crew. Left alone with his thoughts, he takes a moment to process the crazy situation he has landed in. He decides his best option is to just put his head down and tackle whatever is right in front of him. One of the dorm workers immediately spots him and delegates him to kitchen duty. He asks if the new kid can handle food prep since they are short on cooks. Kento confidently agrees without a second thought. Tying on an apron, our boy figures chopping some veggies will be a breeze. The worker happily opens a nearby storage door to show him the workload. Kento instantly freezes in shock. Before him sits a huge wooden barrel overflowing with unpeeled potatoes. The worker casually tells him to finish every single one by evening. Defeated, Kento just stares at the massive pile and promises to do his best. Fast forward to that night, he face plants right onto his bed. Rolling over, he complains about his exhaustion and admits the kitchen prep was way harder than expected. He spent the entire day grinding through his chores. After finally finishing the endless potato peeling, he swept the dorms and scrubbed all the dinner dishes. Now back in his tiny room, he lies awake with a frustrated groan. He feels bad for complaining since he is getting free meals, but something is clearly bothering him. The dorm food was genuinely terrible. Remembering the rowdy guards aggressively scarfing down the awful meals, he cries on the floor over his ruined culinary hopes. Brushing off the disappointment, he focuses on his strange wristband to plan his next move. Grabbing his magical tablet, he boots it up with a glowing hum. He opens the camera app and takes a few test selfies, relieved to find it works just like a normal phone. Moving on, he taps the info icon to see what else the device can do. A status window pops up listing his name, race, and a brand new age of 16. He grins at the RPG menu as the fantasy reality finally sets in. He tries clicking into other menus, but a system message blocks him for being too low level. Frustrated, he drops the tablet onto his bed and complains about the restricted access. Processing his new teenage body, the sheer exhaustion of his chores catches up to him. His eyes flutter shut as he passes out mid-thought. The next morning, Kendo wakes up to the sound of chirping birds and instantly regrets sleeping in his work clothes. Stretching his sore muscles, he prepares to tackle the day. Determined to get a proper ID, he heads straight to the local adventurers guild. He marvels at the bustling fantasy atmosphere until a cheery receptionist warmly welcomes him to the front desk. Stepping up to the counter, he tells the receptionist he wants to register. She cheerfully walks him through the process, instructing him to place his hands on a blank piece of paper and a crystal ball. The moment he touches the crystal, it flashes blindingly bright. He geeks out as the paper magically fills with his information, and the receptionist officially hands over his new guild card and manual. She warmly welcomes him to the guild, and he accepts the card with a polite thank you. He bows deeply before leaving, making the receptionist blush at his unexpectedly cute manners. Strolling away, he inspects his new fantasy ID and the bulky rulebook. Remembering a feature on his magical tablet, he successfully tests out its digital storage by stashing the manual away. Relieved he won't lose his stuff, he smiles to himself. Right on cue, Agus pops up behind him with a grin, asking if the speedy registration went well. Still skeptical of the fantasy world logic, he questions the security of the quick process. Agus assures him the crystal catches any bad guys before suddenly rushing off to patrol, shouting back a reminder to actually read the rulebook. Flipping open the manual, he is amazed to find he can perfectly read the alien text, chalking it up to a handy reincarnation perk. He skims the first page, reading aloud the extremely obvious definition of a guild member. He scans the hierarchy chart, seeing that absolute beginners start at rank D, while the legendary heroes sit all the way at the top at rank 0. He quickly realizes his beginner status locks him out of the good stuff. He cannot even form a party or go past the first few floors of a dungeon until he hits rank B. Sitting on his bed, he knows he needs to rank up fast to survive on his own. The payout for basic rank D quests is basically pocket change. He rolls over, flipping straight to the advancement rules. Pushing to rank C just means knocking out 30 staff-selected quests in 2 weeks, which sounds easy enough. He plots his next move from behind the manual. Figuring his best bet is tagging along with higher-ranked parties for odd jobs, he decides to hit up the guild in the morning. The next day at the guild, he slumps against the front desk with an awkward laugh. He just found out there are exactly 0 odd jobs available for him right now. While he figures out a backup plan, a couple of other staff members gossip in the background. They immediately recognize him as the cute new kid who got robbed, just like Agus told them. Totally buying his tragic backstory, the 2 receptionists immediately vow to protect and support the poor kid. While the staff try to set him up with a non-combat party, our boy completely ignores them and interrupts their brainstorming. Holding up a flyer he pulled off the board, he asks how to officially register for a quest. The blonde receptionist happily takes his magical tablet to process the paperwork. She explains that his chosen rank D quest is just a basic 3-hour kitchen cleaning job. Eager to get his hands dirty, he asks if he can start right away. She gives him the green light and kindly scribbles down some extra directions on a map. He thanks her for the extra help. Staring at the quest details, he suddenly starts sweating bullets over his very first job. He thought a simple cleaning gig would be foolproof, but he realizes he has no idea who his client, Ferris Nelly, actually is. Leaving the guild, he heads out into the city with a hopeful smile. He shakes off the nerves, genuinely curious about who he will be working for. Thinking back on his sudden reincarnation, our boy decides to take things one step at a time. He hopes that starting small will eventually lead to a cozy life surrounded by good people. Meanwhile, at the location, random dude jaw hits the floor. He is baffled that they hired a guild adventurer just to scrub their kitchen. Another dude harshly scolds his squadmate for leaving the place in such a disgusting state. The messy culprit just groans and sweats in the corner, embarrassed by the confrontation. Watching the argument unfold, another party member just smiles and hums a tune, wondering what their leader is even thinking with this setup. Kento arrived at the address and immediately realized this cleaning gig was going to be a struggle. It was hard to believe someone actually lived in this ruin, and since there was no doorbell, he just had to knock. A gorgeous elf opened the door and the whole vibe shifted as she greeted him with a warm smile. Meeting a real elf in person was a major level up, and Ferris seemed happy to finally have some help. The inside of the house was surprisingly nice, but the quest was focused entirely on the kitchen area. The air turned heavy as he reached the kitchen door and realized what he was actually walking into. The room was a biohazard zone filled with swarms of flies and a sea of rotting trash. Ferris admits the whole house is full of people who can't clean to save their lives. Looking at the disaster, Kento realizes he's in way over his head. This is going to be a long day. Time to suit up for war. Kento asks for every supply in the house while masking up with a towel. Some habits from the corporate world are hard to break. Failure isn't an option on the first day. A bad reputation with the guild would kill his career before it even starts. He needs this win to stay in the game. The client makes a quick exit, leaving him alone with the flies and the stench. He has exactly 3 hours to turn this biohazard into a kitchen. The countdown is on. The plan is straightforward. Toss the trash, clear the drains, and scrub the walls. It's a disgusting job, but someone has to do it. The walls are a nightmare. They're caked in pitch black sludge and crawling with bugs. It's enough to make anyone want to quit on the spot. Time to break out the secret weapon. A classic turtle shell brush is exactly what he needs for a mess like this. Thankfully, this world at least has decent cleaning gear. He puts his whole soul into the scrubbing, but the grease is barely moving. This job is proving to be a total nightmare. Complete defeat. An hour has already passed and the sludge is winning. He checks the timer on his tablet and starts to realize time is running out fast. Failing his first quest is not an option. Suddenly, a notification for a level 1 shopping app appears on his screen. He decides to hit accept and see what happens. One wipe is all it takes for the grime to vanish. The kitchen starts to sparkle like never before. Whatever he just bought works like actual magic. This legendary sponge is a total game changer. He blasts through the rest of the mess in record time. Cleaning in another world is way easier than it ever was back on Earth. Ferris walks in and her jaw hits the floor. She cannot believe this is the same kitchen. Our MC just stands there looking proud of his work. She wants to know what kind of insane magic he used to pull this off. He just plays it cool and blames it on muscle power. He grabs the bags to take out the trash and head home. Kento is hauling out the trash, still shook by how well his new purchase worked. This Mr. Sponge item is a total game changer. Turns out this legendary cleaning tool only cost him 150 yen on his shopping app. He is just glad he found something that actually works. The sponge literally spawns into the kitchen, and he gets it ready for the ultimate grime battle. He is still skeptical if it can handle this level of filth. One swipe later and the wall is literally glowing. Even he is caught off guard by how broken this cleaning gear is. The dirt is just getting deleted from existence. He has officially found the ultimate cheat code for domestic labor. He speedruns the rest of the job in seconds and heads out to dump the trash. Everything is looking spotless. He runs into a mysterious girl with glasses and can't even tell if they're a boy or a girl. She just gives him a blank stare before pointing him in the right direction. Our boy is back at the guild and the receptionist is losing it because he actually scored a tip on his very first quest. He is just glad the elf client did not turn out to be a nightmare. Time for the best part, the payout. He is debating if he should go full cash or just load up his digital guild card to keep things simple. He decides to play it safe and split the 4,500 yen between his card and some cold hard cash. You never know when you will need some walking around money in a fantasy world. The receptionist sends him off with a massive smile, telling him she is looking forward to his next visit. The guild staff favoritism for this newbie is definitely paying off. Elsewhere, we see how he actually finished the job. Ferris was so shocked by the clean kitchen she was practically vibrating with gratitude. Before heading out, he makes sure to give her a crash course in basic hygiene so she does not turn the place back into a dumpster. She is taking the lecture like a champ, even if she looks a little overwhelmed by the truth. She hands over his official quest completion card, and even he is surprised by how smoothly everything went. He is officially one step closer to ranking up and leaving the D-rank life behind. Ferris Nelly is so impressed with his work that she even tosses in a little extra bonus along with his quest certificate. Our boy is winning big on his very first day. She waves goodbye with a huge smile, letting him know he is definitely on the shortlist if she ever needs more help. And just like that, the job is officially in the books. Back at the guild, the twin-tail receptionist is practically glowing with pride because he actually pulled it off. He can finally say his first quest in this world was a total victory. She offers to dump the whole reward onto his guild card, but he has to pause. He needs actual cash on hand to power up his system apps and prefers not to carry a heavy bag of gold. They settle on a split of 4,500 yen in cash with the rest going digital. He double-checks the numbers to make sure his hard work really paid off. Walking away with a fat stack of bills, he realizes the exchange rate is basically 1-to-1 with yen. Scoring this much for just 3 hours of cleaning feels like a total money glitch. Our boy stands in front of the quest board, thinking about how lucky he was to find that cleaning sponge. He decides to play it safe and save his hard-earned money for later. The receptionists are still buzzing over the successful quest when a new group interrupts them. They quickly snap back into professional mode to handle the reward payout for the next team. A veteran squad makes their entrance, and they definitely look like they know what they are doing. The guild members greet their leader, Mr. Karsash, as the party approaches the counter. They mention they are still on the lookout for a manservant to help with their workload. The muscular guy in the crew says he has someone perfect to introduce to the team. The leader is all ears and asks how he can get in touch with this potential recruit. He seems ready to follow up on the recommendation immediately. A few weeks after arriving in this world, and the grind is already real, Luluka is currently putting on a show after getting roughed up by some monsters during a quest. Kento runs to her side as the party leader Wellens calls out her carelessness. Instead of an apology, the cat girl just demands a potion for her wounds. Our boy just laughs as the two bicker back and forth. Luluka pouts about being a helpless girl while everyone else sees right through the act. After a quick introduction from the guild, Kento has been handling odd jobs for the Dragon's Breath party. He gives a quick wave and heads back toward the base. Back at the house, Kento hauls a heavy crate over to Wellens. She points him toward the leader, mentioning that the contents inside are extremely rare. Dragon's Breath is a powerhouse rank B party with 12 members currently on the roster. Kento takes the lead and heads off to finish the delivery. The box is surprisingly heavy, making for a slow trek across the grounds. Kento is just glad his new odd jobs came with a place to live, right before Gorzes drops by to roast him. Gorzes is already roasting our boy's gains as they cross paths in the hallway. Kento just laughs and heads over to the leader's office to finish the delivery. Our boy peeks into the room to drop off the rare dungeon loot. Karsash is a chill leader who actually appreciates the grunt work. He feels a bit bad for piling chores on the new guy, but Kento is just happy to help. The leader checks in to see if the kid is struggling. Our boy keeps a brave face and says everything is going great so far. Karsash tells him to speak up if things get rough. Kento heads out but gets the jump scare of his life when someone is waiting for him. This is Kotz, the assistant leader and resident party hater. He tells Kento to stay in his lane and remember that he is just here for the chores. Luluka is fuming at the disrespect but cannot really do anything about it. She feels bad for the vibe check and apologizes for her grumpy teammate. Meet Kotz, the assistant leader and the leader's younger brother. These two apparently had a huge argument about bringing a non-combat member onto the team. Basically, the dude hates our boy's guts. Since the job is already official, he is just hoping to keep the vibes chill and avoid any more drama. With the grind finished for today, our boy decides to hit the city streets to find some decent food. He hits up a local food stall to grab some grilled meat on skewers. Even though eating out every night is a bad habit, the freedom to pick his own meals is a major win. There is just one problem: the food in this world low-key sucks. Everything is seasoned with nothing but chili peppers, leaving our boy's taste buds begging for mercy. Time to break out the secret weapon, a fresh bottle of soy sauce from his shopping app. You can take the man out of Japan, but you can't take the soy sauce out of the man. It is the exact same brand from his old life, but somehow it tastes 10 times better in another world. He is enjoying his meal in peace until a familiar voice calls out his name from behind. Kento recognizes a familiar face in the crowd and calls out to his former leader. Agus turns around with a grin, looking like he is already deep into his first drink of the night. Catching up over a meal, the veteran asks how the new party life is treating the rookie. Kento admits he felt bad about leaving so suddenly, but his old boss just laughs and says they already found a replacement. Knowing Karsash is a top-tier leader, Agus gives the new arrangement his full seal of approval. He tells the kid he is in safe hands and seems genuinely relieved that things worked out. While they eat, Agus notices the unique sauce Kento is using on his skewers and gets curious. Our boy explains it is his own original recipe and offers his old mentor a taste. One bite is all it takes for the veteran to lose his mind over the flavor. While he celebrates his new favorite snack, a mysterious woman in a fur-lined cloak starts getting curious about the stall. She decides to see what the hype is about and places her own order to go. By the time her food is ready, the two guys have already cleared their tray and moved on to the next topic. Searching for more ingredients, Kento asks where he can track down some dungeon monsters known as foey birds. Agus looks skeptical and wonders why a beginner would be looking for creatures that live so deep in the dungeons. Agus warns the kid that these birds are trash for eating, but our boy is already planning his next culinary experiment. The veteran suggests sticking to normal meat, unaware that Kento has a cheat recipe app calling for the weird stuff. When asked if he actually knows his way around a kitchen, Kento admits he picked up some skills while living alone back on Earth. Agus is genuinely impressed, admitting he usually just eats whatever stays down since his wife normally handles the cooking. The secret sauce is doing all the heavy lifting, but Kento keeps the recipe classified while realizing soybeans might not even exist here. Back to the daily grind, the life of a support adventurer is surprisingly simple. From prepping gear for the veteran squad to waiting outside the dungeon, our boy is officially the team MVP of logistics. Luca makes sure everyone is packed, practically forcing a smoke bomb on Kautz. The dude just huffs and stomps off, leaving our boy genuinely terrified of the guy's attitude. Support life is a mix of playing medic and being a human backpack. Wellens is more than happy to let him take the load while he explains the grind of his new role. That's when he spots it. Wellens' robe is starting to fray at the edges. Time to dip back into the shopping app for a budget sewing kit. It was dirt cheap, but in this world, modern steel is basically legendary tier. The repair goes smooth as butter. Every stitch feels way more effective than it should, proving his cheat items are the real deal. The quality of the fix is undeniable, leaving Wellens stunned. He plays it cool, though he is internally shocked that his sewing skills actually look like high-end craftsmanship. She notices the extra work on her cuffs and asks if he did something special. He keeps it humble, admitting he just did a quick adjustment before receiving a rare and genuine word of thanks. Our boy is speedrunning chores now that he found the shopping app. He is getting all his gear through the digital store, because it is way more efficient than anything else in this world. The veteran squad is stunned when they see he is already finished. He just keeps it humble and confirms that the job is done. The house is officially sparkling, and Luluka is dancing around the room. The group is flooded with gratitude because the place has never looked this good. Deep down, the reality of being an Isekai protagonist finally hits. He has no family, no friends, and no one from his past life here. The sudden move to this world brought a lot of daily anxiety. He cannot even remember the moment he died, which keeps him on edge. Everything changes when he looks at his new squad. For the first time, he feels like there are people who actually rely on him. A new fire is lit inside. He is determined to give this life everything he has got. 6 months later, Kento is still grinding with the squad. Rin walks in and the energy in the room is already rising. She finally secured the bag and hit rank A. The crew is stunned by the success. The whole party is officially rank A now. Kento is happy to see his friends winning after all that hard work. Support life is paying off since Kento gets a cut of every quest. He made it to rank C himself, though rank B feels like a stretch. Our boy looks at his paycheck and cannot believe his eyes. The receptionist confirms the math is totally correct. The guild says the party has been hyperactive since Kento joined. Luluka wants the tea on how he makes everything run so smooth. Kento plays it cool, claiming he is just doing basic chores. He reviews the new A-rank quest options while everyone celebrates. Karsish breaks the news that today is an A-rank dungeon raid. He admits that the area is way too dangerous for Kento to wait at the entrance alone. The leader asks if Kento can stay behind this time while looking pretty guilty. Our boy is crushed but forces himself to agree. Kautz chooses this exact moment to start talking trash. He laughs that Kento is so useless he can't even carry their gear. He gets physical and grabs Kento while shouting at his brother. He thinks Kento is just a leech taking a cut of their hard-earned pay while doing zero work. The mood gets even heavier as the other members chime in. They argue that a top-tier party cannot afford to carry dead weight on high-level missions. Luluka shouts for the team to move out while Kento stands there in silence. Wellens and Rin look on, clearly sensing the tension is getting out of hand. Just as Kento is hitting rock bottom, a massive arm pulls him into a headlock. Gorzes tells him to ignore the haters because he is definitely not dead weight. Karsish is still making excuses for his brother being a jerk. Higher rank quests are getting way more intense, and the party is starting to feel the heat. Our boy is deep in his feelings about being the only one without combat skills. It is bringing back some core memories of being the weak link on the team. Years ago, he was catching heat for fumbling a play on the baseball field. Getting told he belongs on the bench for life is a different kind of pain. He realized early on that being an outsider meant the game was rigged against him. Just another day of failing to meet the vibe check. To escape being a burden, he turned into a study demon. He grinded for years to stack up certifications just to prove he had value. That hustle eventually landed him a respectable corporate gig where his effort actually mattered. Out in the real world, hard work usually leads to a paycheck and some respect. His magic tablet is great for house chores, but it does not have an app for slaying dragons. He is starting from zero in a world where his past life skills are basically useless. Kento admits he lacks main character energy and does not have the sword skills everyone else was born with. Looking at his hand, he feels like just another dead weight who only knows how to do house chores. Taking a 5% cut for doing chores while everyone else fights for their lives is a tough look. He finally admits that to the rest of the squad, he probably looks like a total mooch. Our boy gets why the vibes are off. Even a tiny tax hike is annoying, so paying 5% for a guy who does zero damage is definitely a mood killer. He can feel the end of the road approaching. With the rest of the squad constantly complaining, He knows the current situation is not sustainable. Before things get even more toxic, he steps up to the leader. He asks Karsish for a quick word to clear the air. Karsish respects the sudden decision to move on but wants to set the record straight. He tells Kento straight up that he was never a burden and is just as vital as the heavy hitters. Deep down, he is just happy he got to ride with them. He gives a genuine thank you and says he is glad he got to be a part of the Dragon's Breath. He makes it official and confirms he is leaving the Dragon's Breath for good. Karsish tries to offer him a place to stay until he gets settled, but he shuts it down immediately with a firm no. Seeing Luluka and the others would just make the goodbye too hard, so he chooses a clean break. He looks down with a soft smile. Sorry I couldn't be that much help to you. After a final bow of gratitude for the hospitality, Karsish wishes him the best with a genuine smile. Thanks for everything you did, Kento. Now he is officially on his own with a pocket full of cash and zero plans. He realizes he is technically homeless now since the guards already filled his old spot in the barracks. To avoid being a bother to anyone else, he heads to a local inn for the night. I guess I'm homeless now, he jokes to himself. The sticker shock hits hard when the clerk quotes him 4,000 yen for a single night. This room costs more than a fancy hotel back in Japan, and he can practically feel his wallet crying. Damn, that kinda hurts. He pays his dues and heads to his room without noticing a very familiar face at the counter. It turns out Ferris Nelly is checking in right as he finishes up. Thank you, he calls out while walking away. The elf lady definitely recognizes him and wonders where she has seen that kid before. Meanwhile, our boy is having a midlife crisis in his tiny room. He realizes his savings won't last long without a steady job to pay these high rent prices. Our boy is finally feeling the struggle of the freelance life. He knows he needs a new spot by tomorrow, but hearing he has to wait a whole month for an opening sends him into a full spiral. The local realtor breaks the bad news that a storm trashed all their vacant rooms. Kento looks drained when she tells him he will have to wait 30 days for a fix. He takes a seat and starts crunching the numbers for a month-long stay at the inn. The math adds up to over 100,000 yen, and he can feel his savings vanishing. Bro starts rolling around on the bench in a panic over his bank account. A sudden voice calls out and interrupts his midlife crisis before he can fall off. It is Ferris Nelly, the elf from his very first cleaning quest. She leans in with a huge smile and recognizes him as the guy who worked magic on her messy kitchen. He looks up in shock and blushes as soon as he realizes who it is. He can't believe the owner of the dirtiest kitchen in town just found him at his lowest point. Meeting up for a casual tea break, Ferris Nelly is absolutely floored by Kento's sudden career change. Our boy tries to play it cool while she loses it over him quitting his party. He admits he didn't want to be the source of drama anymore. Seeing his old squad constantly fighting over him was just too much for his heart to handle. Ferris isn't having any of it and slams the table in protest. She tells him straight up that he did nothing wrong, but he still feels the weight of the awkwardness. As she devours a whole pie slice by slice, she drops some major wisdom. She argues that a team only works when everyone respects their own lane, and his support was the glue holding them together. The serious vibe gets completely wrecked when Kento realizes she just polished off the entire dessert. Bro is questioning her appetite more than his life choices at this point. Ferris gets a mischievous look in her eyes after hearing he is officially a free agent. She asks about his future plans, only for him to admit he is basically just winging it right now. She suddenly leans in with zero respect for personal space and drops a bombshell. Without missing a beat, she invites him to join her own party. Ferris drops the reveal of the century, revealing she is actually the leader of a party called Daybreak. Without letting him get a word in, she drags him straight to their base while shouting that she is finally back. She hauls him inside like a prize. One guy gives a dry welcome home, but the girl with the headband is way more worried about where her dinner is. Ferris tells the crew she brought home something way better than food. The rest of the squad is not buying it and wants to know why there is a random kid in their living room. She practically claims ownership of him on the spot. Ferris introduces him as Kento and declares that he belongs to their party now, leaving our boy speechless. The team immediately suspects a kidnapping and wonders if she forced him to come here. Ferris just shuts them down and tells the guys to get ready for the real tea. Time for the big reveal. She tells everyone that Kento is the legendary pro who actually managed to clean her nightmare of a kitchen. Kelvin stayed calm but curious while Rugler basically screamed in total disbelief. They finally realized this kid was the one responsible for fixing the sea of rot in Ferris's house. Kento tried to say she was blowing things out of proportion, but Ferris was not having it. She started treating him like a literal deity while the guys begged her to stop being so extra. The introductions finally got official as Kelvin offered to be his personal bodyguard. Rugler flashed a thumbs up and promised to craft whatever tools the kid needed to get the job done. Our boy was completely overwhelmed by the high-level energy. He stood there with stars in his eyes thinking about how lucky he was to land in such a cool squad. Staying professional as always, Kento promised to handle every chore so the team could live in total comfort. He was taking the support role so seriously it actually made the veteran members feel a bit awkward. Ruggler yanked him into a headlock and told him to drop the formal routine. He dragged the kid over to meet the final member of their group, who was chilling on the couch. Ferris officially announced him as their newest recruit while Kento realized he recognized the girl with the glasses. It was the same mysterious resident who had been staring him down earlier. The mysterious glasses girl finally introduces herself as Clue. Since she cannot speak, she uses a notebook to communicate, and Ferris hopes the two youngest members will become good friends. Suddenly, a refined blonde woman named Grassis gets way too close to our boy. Ferris has to physically pull her back to keep her from smothering the new recruit. Grassis introduces herself with a charming smile while staying dangerously close to Kento. Our MC is practically vibrating with nervousness because his personal space is officially gone. Things get even weirder when Grassis claims that looking at Kento makes her hungry. He just screams in total confusion because that is a wild thing to say to someone you just met. The squad realizes it is finally dinner time and they are all starving. Clue points out that Ferris was the one who promised to handle the food for the night. Ferris gets super excited and offers to whip up a special meal to welcome the new member. Kento is skeptical because he clearly remembers her eating an entire pie just a short while ago. The guys immediately tackle Ferris to stop her from reaching the kitchen. They look absolutely terrified and warn her that her cooking is actually a death sentence. Clue drops a heavy truth bomb on her notepad. She warns our boy that nobody in the house can cook, and Ferris' food is basically a death sentence. The entire squad freezes when Kento offers to handle the meals. If they are okay with something simple, he is more than happy to save them from certain doom. Scenes shift to the kitchen where things are looking way better than the first time he visited. The place is actually clean, and he is ready to test out their magical fridge. He starts sorting through the ingredients and finds some local versions of rice, pork, and eggs. He even finds some lanky onions that smell just like scallions. After checking the spice rack, he realizes he has everything he needs for a proper meal. A little bit of salt and sugar goes a long way when you know what you are doing. It is time for a comfort food session. He starts by getting a fresh pot of rice going on the stove. Our boy moves like a pro, dicing the ingredients and prepping eggs for the whole crew. The kitchen finally starts to smell like actual food as the sizzle hits the pan. Our boy is back in his element, flipping the pan with professional precision. He is relieved his kitchen skills are still sharp as he checks the seasoning. Time to grab some plates and serve it up. The smell is so good it draws the whole squad to the kitchen door like a magnet. They are all just standing there, staring at the stove in total disbelief. Kento has to tell everyone to back off and wait until the food is actually ready. The group is already floating on cloud 9 just from the aroma. Watching them get so hyped, he feels like he is feeding a bunch of toddlers. He finally brings the food out and tells them it is time to dig in. He sets the main dish down and hopes it is enough for the crowd. The team stares at the fried rice with stars in their eyes while their mouths start to water. The group claps their hands to give thanks before finally starting the feast. Ferris is the first to take a massive bite, and the room goes silent for a second. A single bite is all it takes for an explosion of flavor to rock the entire house. The reaction is so intense it is practically tectonic. The squad is officially losing it over a plate of fried rice. Ferris feels like she has transcended reality, while Clue is busy writing a 5-star review in her notebook. The rest of them are having a spiritual experience with every single bite. Kento is just standing there with a nervous sweat, wondering how a simple meal turned into a major event. He tries to tell them it is not that serious, but they are already too far gone. Ferris sets her spoon down and gets a look in her eyes that says she is about to change his life. She decides that having a legendary chef just doing odd jobs around the house is a crime against humanity. She shouts her vision to the rafters, officially promoting Kento to the squad's master chef. The rest of the crew is instantly on board, leaving our boy stunned by his new career path. Ferris realizes she might have been a bit too high energy and offers a quick apology for deciding his life on the fly. She calms down and formally asks him if he would be willing to keep the kitchen running for the team. Our boy does not hesitate, telling her he would be more than happy to take the job if they are actually serious. Ferris is practically glowing with joy, her mission to secure the good food finally accomplished. The entire Daybreak squad gathers around to give him a proper welcome to the family. With a humble smile, Kento thanks them all, finally feeling like he found a place where he belongs. Kento takes a breather in the tub, soaking in the wind of finding a new home. His brain is still on the clock though, stressing over the fact that his best recipes need rare ingredients that are a nightmare to track down. He compares dungeon monsters to regular town food, realizing that cheap substitutes just ruin the flavor. Since he is not exactly a combat god, he is stuck wondering how he will ever get his hands on the good stuff. A light bulb goes off as he realizes his new squad is packed with heavy hitters who can do the hunting for him. He is just about to dry off when Ferris accidentally rattles the door open to grab some shampoo, catching him in a very compromised position. Total brain freeze. Ferris just laughs off the awkward encounter and slides the door shut, leaving our boy standing there in complete shock. He is officially mortified and blushing hard enough to heat the room. A scream echoes through the house as the reality of being seen nude by the boss finally sinks in. Later on, he sits the group down to talk shop about the ingredients. He asks the team to start bringing back monster meat from their runs, which has the veterans scratching their heads because they have never considered dungeon mobs as food. Grassus pouts about the extra work, but Ferris shuts it down immediately. She orders the entire team to bring back exactly what Kento asks for on their next mission. Ferris lays down the law with a loud shout, making it clear that her word is final in this house. Rugler just swit drops and goes along with it while Kento realizes exactly who is in charge. Kento gives Ferris a quick thanks for the support, which she brushes off with a confident wink. She is genuinely hyped to try some monster meat, leaving Kento to check his recipe app for some new cooking ideas. Ferris is having the time of her life eating Kento's latest dish, which is apparently good enough to warm her soul. She asks what is in it because the taste is so unique. Kento plays it cool and mentions a little ginger, but inside he is stoked that earth ingredients like kombu actually exist in this world. He is just glad they are enjoying it while Clue gives him a triple 5-star review on the side. The cozy dinner atmosphere takes a hit when the front door swings open, signaling that the rest of the team is finally home. Kento and Ferris look back to see who it is. Grassus is the first one through the door, and she looks absolutely livid about something that went down during the mission. She is literally growling with rage. Kelvin explains they got stuck behind a group of amateurs who started blasting intermediate magic at weak mobs, which naturally lured in a high-level monster to crash the party. Grassus is losing her mind over how stupid some rank A adventurers can be. Rugler tries to calm her down with a nervous laugh, fully aware that an angry Grassus is more dangerous than any dungeon boss. She keeps venting about how much she hates dealing with morons who do not know what they are doing. Kento's eyes nearly pop out of his head when he sees the mountain of horned pigs and birds they managed to haul back. They definitely understood the assignment when he asked for monster meat. Rugler asks if the haul is enough while Kenta tries not to faint from the sheer volume. Turns out they brought all this back in a single magic bag that ignores weight. Honestly, every student needs one of these for their textbooks. Our boy is happy but also slightly stressed because he has no idea how he is going to cook through all this before it goes bad. To make it worse, they even brought back a massive pile of mushrooms and plants to round out the meal. Clue steps up with a notepad and a plan to save the day using inventory magic. She enchants a wooden box to hold way more than it should and adds a freezer spell so the meat stays fresh for a month. Talk about a legendary kitchen upgrade. Prepping a giant monster bird is way too much for Kento to handle alone, so Rugler offers to do the heavy lifting. With the meat finally broken down, it is time for the master chef to get to work. Kento is locked in and ready to cook up a legendary bird nanban. If he pulls this off, he is officially taking his place as the head of the kitchen. Following the recipe app is the only way to avoid a kitchen disaster in this world, so he is sticking to the script. He even pulls out some rice wine from the Earth Shopping app to give the dish that authentic flavor. The bird meat hits the pan and starts sizzling with that perfect golden brown energy. He is cutting everything into bite-sized pieces to make sure every mouthful is perfect. Kento realizes that Earth tools and his secret stash of mayonnaise are basically cheat codes in this world. He starts whipping up a fresh batch of tartar sauce while the meat sizzles away on the stove. Cooking monster meat is a whole different beast, and our boy is struggling with the hot oil splashes. He admits he is out of his depth with frying, so he has to lock in to avoid a kitchen catastrophe. The finishing touch is a thick drizzle of sweet and sour sauce right over the golden brown meat. It looks absolutely restaurant quality. The squad is practically vibrating with excitement as the food hits the table. Ferris and the gang cannot believe their eyes after seeing what a real master chef can do with monster meat. The aroma alone is enough to change their entire worldview on what counts as edible. They are questioning if this stuff is even real because it smells way too good to be a dungeon drop. Kento tells everyone to dig in because there is plenty to go around. The squad does not hesitate for a single second, diving in with their chopsticks like it is their last meal. The crew starts begging for thirds while clearing every single plate in record time. Kendo just smiles as he keeps the fresh rice bowls coming. The squad is buzzing after that feast, and Grassus is already planning the next dungeon raid just to keep the menu fresh. Even the quiet ones are clearly feeling the vibe. Grassus notices Kento is nursing a burn and decides it is time for some expert medical intervention. She pulls him away before he can even protest. They transition to a private workshop filled with alchemy supplies. This is her personal space where the real magic happens. She gets to work spreading a specialized ointment on the injury. Kento is impressed by the level of care she puts into it. It turns out she and Ferris are top-tier potion masters. That explains why the squad is so stacked with talent. The magic takes hold and wipes the injury out in seconds. She gives him a stern warning to report every single injury to her immediately. Kento is officially grateful for the help as they wrap things up. It is wholesome hours in the workshop. Kento discovers that his magical apps have levels and can be improved. A level up prompt appears, offering him the chance to upgrade his info app. The upgrade cost is a massive 200,000 points, which is way more than he expected. He realizes that getting stronger in this world is going to be incredibly expensive. Daybreak's main source of income comes from selling potions made by Ferris and Gracis. Since his own earnings from odd jobs are not very stable, he decides he needs to start working harder. Back at the guild, the twin-tailed receptionist is relieved to see him and asks how he is doing. He tells her he has already joined a new party and apologizes for making her worry. He starts taking on rank C requests to build up his savings. His first task is finding lost cats, which is easy enough when he uses some high-quality treats. The grind continues as he hauls heavy sacks at a bakery and cleans up at a local bookstore. He is committed to making money one small job at a time to reach his goal. Kento is so focused on his shopping list that he walks right past some familiar faces without noticing. Kelvin and Rugler are surprised to see him out on his own in the middle of town. Kelvin and Rugler watch Kento walk off, noticing he is so focused he did not even see them. They suspect he is grinding hard on guild requests and think it is time to bring this up with Ferris. Rugler points out that Kento has been through a rough patch and deserves some extra kindness. Kelvin cannot help but poke fun at him for acting so soft for once. It has been 2 weeks of non-stop odd jobs for Daybreak, and our boy is loving the peaceful life. After yanking the last of the weeds, he decides it is finally time to head back. Deep in his thoughts, Kento realizes just how much he wants to stay with this squad forever. They appreciate every single meal he makes, and for the first time, he feels like he truly belongs. The wholesome mood shifts instantly when Rugler walks up looking unusually nervous. He asks Kento for a moment of his time, leaving the MC completely caught off guard. Rugler tells him to head to the living room when he can, leaving Kento to wonder what is actually going on. This serious attitude is a far cry from the guy who usually just shouts about what is for dinner. Entering the living room, he finds Ferris and Rugler waiting with incredibly somber faces. Ferris gestures for him to sit down, and the heavy atmosphere makes it clear that something big is about to go down. Kento is stuck in a living room meeting that feels way too formal. He is already spiraling, wondering if this is where it all ends. His brain is stuck on loop, replaying every failure. The memory of his old assistant leader comes back to haunt him. Katz's voice rings out again, calling him a useless parasite who cannot do anything. I have been watching you and I thought. Ferris starts. Kento is bracing for the worst, sure that his time with the squad is finally up. What do you think about taking the Rank B advancement test? Ferris asks. A shot at the Rank B exam is the last thing he expected to hear. Ferris doesn't miss a beat and confirms the Rank B advancement offer. She and Rugler are ready to drop the temp label and make him an official part of the squad. It turns out his current setup is just a temporary gig, and hitting Rank B is the only way to get some actual job security. Suddenly, Ferris is having a meltdown over how little he is making on the side. Our boy is just standing there confused why she is the one catching feelings over his paycheck. The squad is officially obsessed with him, from his god-tier cooking to the way he keeps the house perfectly comfy. They have reached a point of no return and refuse to go back to their old, messy lives. They are basically holding on to him for dear life now. The vibe shifts as Ferris asks about the solo guild requests he has been grinding out lately. She completely spirals and starts shouting that she hates seeing him work so hard on his own. Kento is just left totally stunned by her dramatic burst of emotion. Kento is bugging out about the Rank B test, but the squad reminds him that becoming an official member means a fat pay raise. They are worried he is going to work himself to death if he keeps juggling odd jobs and guild requests. Ferris confirms the test is all about subduing monsters, which sends Kento into a spiral. He has never even touched a sword, and now he is expected to throw hands with beasts. They promise to back him up and are not forcing him into anything, leaving the ball in his court. The support is real, but the pressure is definitely on. Hearing how much they believe in him hits different. He decides right then and there that he wants to live up to their expectations. Our boy is suiting up for the Rank B test with a dagger since anything heavier would just weigh him down. The squad is hyped to see him looking the part, and they are starting with the easiest target possible. He is standing in front of his first target and immediately loses his nerve, because the monster is just a cute little rabbit. He refuses to even point his blade at it until the cute bunny starts aggressively hissing at him. That cute vibe vanishes instantly as the rabbit opens a mouth full of jagged teeth and lunges. Kento is left screaming for his life as the fluffy nightmare goes for the kill. Rugler steps in and slashes the rabbit monster with one clean hit. Kento can barely believe how fast she moved as she warns him not to let looks deceive him. She explains that even the smallest monsters are a threat to the local ecosystem. Kento can only stammer her name as he watches the rabbit go down. The veteran gets serious, telling him that showing mercy only invites a counterattack or an entire pack of its friends. She is laying down the cold hard facts of adventurer life. The pro tip is simple: one good stab to the weak point on the back is all it takes. Kento grips his blade with shaky hands and tries to psych himself up for the kill. He watches another target munching on grass while the squad looks on from the bushes. Rugler tells him to keep his eyes open as he tightens his grip on the dagger. Thinking about his rank B advancement, he finally lunges forward and delivers a heavy blow. He refuses to back down now that his future in the squad is on the line. It is over. He is panting and staring at the blood on his blade, stunned by the fact that it is glowing neon pink. Staring at the blood on his hands, the weight of his first kill finally sinks in. Even if it was just a monster, the shock is real. Rugler keeps the vibes positive with a head pat and some praise for a job well done. He catches his breath, trying to process the win. Kelvin is not about to let him get too comfortable, though. Just as the tension starts to fade, the veteran drops a reality check. If he wants to pass that rank B exam, he needs to turn combat into muscle memory. One kill is basically nothing in the grand scheme of things. The instruction is simple: go out there and take down 50 more right now. Kento can only stand there frozen as his training arc turns into a nightmare. The grind is officially on. Every swing of the blade feels heavier than the last as the exhaustion starts to set in. He is slumped over and completely drained after fighting through hordes. Rugler thinks he is doing great, but he didn't even have time to think. The squad makes it back with a fresh haul of monster materials. Kento is curious if any of these drops can be turned into a gourmet dinner tonight. The kitchen is officially open with a menu featuring rochu meat curry and butter-fried mushrooms. This spread looks like a straight-up cheat code for squad morale. It is a complete feeding frenzy at the table once the first bowl is served. Rugler is already demanding a refill before he even finishes swallowing his first bite. After being crowned the undisputed goat of cooking, Kento starts planning his next move. He realizes that sourcing his own meat is the fastest way to level up the daily menu. The day wraps up with some chill tea time and a round of appreciation for the successful hunt. Progress is being made, but Kelvin is already looking to raise the bar. The wholesome vibes vanish instantly when Kelvin doubles the training quota for tomorrow. This new schedule is a total nightmare, and Kento is just trying to survive the news. The daily grind is officially in full effect as Kento follows a brutal combat schedule. Eventually, the monsters stop being scary and just start looking like walking protein. Rugler finishes up the last bit of prep while Kento deals with the aftermath of the brutal training. Kelvin gives the final green light, confirming they are ready to move out. The squad arrives at the towering guild headquarters back in town. Rugler leads the way as Kento locks in for the challenge ahead. They stand before the massive entrance as the moment of truth arrives. It is officially time for Kento to take on the rank B advancement test. Rugler and Kento lean in as the receptionist slides over the official test documents. Our boy looks a bit overwhelmed already. The requirements are a grocery list of monsters, ranging from winged snakes to dozens of trotting mushrooms. Rugler claims most of it is easy, but warns him about a rock turtle. When Kento asks about the turtle, the receptionist just says it is peculiar. She tells him to draw his blade and explains that the guild will be watching for any signs of cheating. A glowing orb appears to act as a magical body cam, recording his every move while his weapon is out. Any outside help means an immediate fail. Kento has exactly 1 week to finish the list, so he decides to head straight to the hunting grounds. He is acting tough, but the deadline has him feeling the pressure. Rugler sends him off with a heavy slap on the back and some encouragement. Deep in the forest, the first target starts moving through the leaves. The grind officially begins as Kento slashes his way through the first wave of mushroom monsters. He has 10 down, but 35 more still on the list. Kento pulls up his map and is low-key hyped about the location function. He realizes he would be completely lost if the guild didn't provide these navigation perks to younger testers. He spots a winged snake just chilling on a branch. It is go time. This thing actually flies instead of slithering. He watches it float through the air, wondering how the physics in this world even work. Time for the sneak attack. He grabs a rock to distract it and lands a solid whack, but the monster just gets angry and prepares to strike back. The snake lunges with its mouth wide open, but Kento is locked in. He remembers that their hearts are actually in their tails, so he aims for a precise slash to end the fight. 1 down, 7 to go. He catches his breath and tries to calm his nerves after taking down a monster that was way stronger than he expected. As the sun sets, Rugler is waiting at the exit to see how the rookie handled himself. Our MC gets a proud head pat and a solid ego boost for clearing his first day goals. Day 2 of the grind starts with some creatures that look like literal land urchins. Our boy thinks they are sitting ducks, but they start spinning the moment he gets close. 20 lizards down and the hunger is setting in. His recipe app claims this meat tastes like bacon, so he checks the grocery list before taking a breather. Time for a lunch break in the woods. He munches on a homemade sandwich while feeling a bit guilty about leaving his squad hungry back at the base. The next task is a simple gathering quest for 10 swaying tree branches. He assumes it will be light work since it is just picking up sticks instead of hunting monsters. Famous last words: these branches actually have hands, and he gets smacked across the clearing before he can even blink. Trying to gather flailing limbs with a tiny dagger is a nightmare. Fire is the standard counter for trees, but being magicless means he is stuck without a plan. Desperate times call for scrolling through the shopping app for a cheese strategy. Money is the only thing holding him back, so he is stuck looking for the discount options. Our boy gets a light bulb moment while scrolling through his tablet. I have a good idea, he says, with a literal glow up as he starts cooking up a plan. He pulls out a spray can and a lighter like he is about to drop the most dangerous life hack ever. Look at this, he flexes, asking the tree if it knows what is coming next. The aerosol and lighter combo creates a makeshift flamethrower he definitely would not have tried in his past life. One roar of fire later, and he is threatening the branches into surrendering. It is super effective, and the branches start dropping like flies until he hits his quota. Quest complete, and he even gives the terrified tree a polite thanks before moving on. Back from the grind, he runs into Ferris, who is hyped to see how the test is going. She spots a tiny scratch on his hand and immediately demands he hand it over for inspection. Before he can even process what is happening, she closes her eyes and lets the magic flow. The scratch vanishes instantly, leaving our MC completely stunned by her healing flex. You are always helping us out, she says with a soft look while Kento tries to keep his cool. She is not done though, reaching out to get even closer as the vibe shifts. Ferris leans in for a sudden kiss on his forehead to grant him a blessing. She winks and explains it is a protective spell passed down through her race. Kento is left standing there flustered as she wishes him luck on the test. A lot just happened in a very short time. Cut to the trial where the only thing standing in his way is the rock turtle. Remembering Rugler's advice about a quick strike to the head, he moves in for the kill. It is harder than it looks because the turtle keeps slipping back into its shell the second he swings. He tries over and over but can't land a single hit. Our boy realizes this shell is built like a tank and clanging his sword against it does 0 damage. The turtle even mocks him by munching on grass while he struggles to find an opening. Time for a change of plans as he decides to just climb right on top of the beast. Since the turtle is faster than him on its feet, he is going to let gravity do the work for his next strike. He sits on top and waits with his sword ready for the perfect moment. The turtle is still on high alert, so he stays still and keeps his eyes on the prize. Our boy stays patient as the rock turtle chomps on some grass. He waits for the perfect moment to strike when the beast finally drops its guard. He goes for the kill with a single decisive stab right to the head. The monster never even saw it coming. Victory is his and the quest counter officially hits 1 out of 1. He collects the loot while admitting that fighting any more of those things would be a nightmare. Back at the guild, the test is finally in the books. The staff greets him with a job well done for surviving his first big challenge. It is official as he gets promoted to rank B and receives a brand new guild card. He is shocked to see the color has shifted to a sleek gray. The receptionist explains that higher ranks get unique colors to show off their status. Kento just smiles to himself, comparing the new look to a license back home. The boys are hyped and celebrate his win with a couple of aggressive head ruffles. He feels like he can finally stand on equal ground with the rest of the squad. Gracis makes it official, welcoming him into the fold as a real member of the team. Ferris just smiles, calling his name as the weight of the moment finally hits him. She reaches out with a warm smile, telling him he did a great job. He is finally part of Daybreak, and the vibe in the room is at an all-time high. Our boy is blushing like crazy, barely holding back his grin. He looks her in the eye and says he can't wait to get to work with the rest of the squad. They lock in the partnership with a firm handshake. While the guys get rowdy and celebrate their new recruit, Clue watches from the sidelines, letting out a few awkward coughs to break the tension. 2 weeks have passed since our boy officially joined the squad, and he is back in his element in the kitchen. He is whipping up some gourmet soup with fresh cream from his shopping app and prepping some fluffy ketchup rice. Life is looking pretty cozy now that he is using his tablet to upgrade his daily routine. The masterpiece is finished, looking like a 5-star meal straight out of a cafe. The crew starts filing in for breakfast, but Kento notices one seat is still empty. He asks where Clue is since the rest of the squad is already ready to dig in. Kelvin says it is just the usual, but Kento finds it weird since Clue is usually the first one down. Apparently this is a recurring thing for the quiet bookworm. Kento wonders if they are sick, but Kelvin tells him to just treat it like a minor issue. Clue just likes to hole up in the room for a bit every few months. Kento finishes up the dishes and sighs with relief. He keeps thinking about the advice to leave Clue alone but can't help feeling a bit concerned. With the chores done and everyone else out for the day, the house is finally quiet. Our boy takes a moment to relax and appreciate having some actual breathing room in his life. He just can't shake the feeling that he should check on the squad's resident bookworm. He scrolls through his shopping app and finds a recipe for a warm honey lemon drink that should do the trick. The kitchen soon fills with a sweet, citrusy aroma. It looks like the perfect remedy for someone stuck in their room. He starts heading upstairs with the drink but stops when another idea hits him. He is going to need a little more than just tea to handle this. One quick tap on the tablet and a pack of premium masks manifests on the floor. Protection is key when you are entering the danger zone of a potentially sick room. He gives the mask a spritz of magic fragrance before reaching the door. With a soft knock and a quiet warning, he slowly pushes his way inside to see what is really going on. The room is a total disaster zone with broken glass and a smashed window. MC creeps in with the drink, only to see a mysterious lump squirming under the blankets. Panic mode activated as he yells for her. She is just huddled up like a burrito and looking suspiciously red in the face. Our boy starts spiraling and offering a trip to the doctor. She just sits there twitching without saying a single word. He cuts through the tension with a sudden shout, catching her completely off guard. After handing over the honey lemon drink, he gives her a quick lecture about not holding in her coughs. She finally takes a few gulps and lets the warm drink do its magic. She lets out a soft sigh of relief, but the sound of her voice makes him freeze. It is way too high-pitched and cute for the person he thought he was talking to. The air in the room turns to ice as they both just stare at each other in a stunned silence. Ferris walks back into the house with groceries and stops in her tracks. Hearing a voice she did not expect has her completely frozen. The sudden noise catches our boy off guard. Footsteps start drumming against the floor as someone bolts for the door. A frantic dash leads to a sudden hug. Ferris is losing it because the girl is running around in her underwear and a face mask. She demands to know what happened to her clothes. Ferris tries to calm the situation down while looking for a notebook. The mood shifts the second she realizes the MC has been watching this entire scene unfold. Our boy asks if she can really speak now. Ferris looks completely stunned as the girl explains that her voice is finally working without any issues. Ferris asks if this is some kind of new magic control. The girl admits she is just as confused as everyone else. Talking out loud is not causing anything to break like it normally does. She credits the special drink Kento gave her for the sudden recovery. It is a miracle compared to how she felt earlier. Kento is caught off guard as Ferris tries to explain the mystery drink. He just wants to know what is going on, but the vibe in the room is getting way too intense. Ferris takes a slow sip of the warm tea and lets the honey and lemon do their thing. She admits it is a simple recipe, but it tastes surprisingly delicious. Clue leans in and asks what kind of secret magic he used to fix her. She has tried every remedy out there, but this one cup of tea finally stopped her mana from rampaging. Our boy starts sweating and swears he did not use any magic at all. Clue does not care how it happened, she is just happy she can finally speak after being silent for so long. A huge smile breaks across her face as she thanks him directly for the miracle. The pure joy in her voice makes all the stress from the last few minutes totally worth it. He tries to say you are welcome, but the entire room suddenly starts to spin. It looks like the shock of her louder voice is finally reaching its breaking point. Total blackout. Kento face plants onto the table with a loud thud, leaving the girls screaming his name in panic as he loses consciousness. Kento wakes up to a face full of plot as Grisis finishes her healing magic. He is totally dazed and wondering how he ended up in this situation while she calmly explains he just fainted. Ferris Nelly looks super apologetic about the whole fainting incident. Our boy is just staring into space trying to process the absolute chaos that just happened. Clue is back to using her sketchbook to communicate since her real voice is basically a magical flashbang. She looks genuinely sorry for accidentally knocking the MC out with her words. It turns out Clue has a rare trait called magic voice, also known as the devil's voice. Most people faint if they hear it, but those who master it can actually manipulate others, so Ferris decides they need to test her limits. Grassis puts on her serious researcher glasses and gets a clipboard ready to start the experiment. She is hyped to see exactly how much control Clue has over her dangerous voice. The squad lines up on the couch to act as the official test subjects for the day. Since these guys have the lowest magic resistance in the group, they are basically the designated crash test dummies. Ferris tries to be supportive by promising to heal them every single time they pass out. Kento just gives a nervous smile, realizing he is about to spend the afternoon hitting the floor. Test 1 starts with 0 precautions, which is definitely a bold strategy. Grisis tells her to go for it, but Clue looks nervous about letting her voice loose. It only takes 2 seconds for the whole squad to start folding. Rugler is shaking like a leaf while Kelvin fights against his lunch, and our MC is already seeing stars. Rugler admits that the zero safety approach was probably a big mistake. Kento is face down on the table while Kelvin points out that their main guy has officially left the building. Round 2 involves a warm honey lemon drink to soothe her vocal cords. Clue takes a sip and asks what she is even supposed to say to this audience of victims. It actually starts off promising, and Rugler thinks he is finally in the clear. Then the magic voice hits for real, and the whole group goes right back to being physically sick. Clue is losing her mind because Kento has fainted for the second time today. Meanwhile, Gracis is just casually scribbling down data points about resistance levels while the chaos unfolds. Test 3 involves a face mask to see if it can muffle the damage. Clue puts on the gear, gives a nervous little cough, and prepares to speak once more. The test subjects are officially losing it. Kelvin admits his heart is doing backflips for the first time ever, while Kento and Rugler are just trying to keep their souls from leaving their bodies. The squad is totally drained and slumped on the couch while Grisis waits for them to rejoin the land of the living. Kento is pretty sure he almost saw the gates of heaven, and Ferris just thinks their lack of charm resistance is the funniest thing she has seen all day. Ferris can't stop laughing at the guys, even while she is trying to apologize. Clue is definitely over it and calls her out with a big sign in her sketchbook. The experiment isn't a total success yet. Graces points out that even a mask can't fully block Clue's natural charm, but the girls aren't giving up on finding a fix. Our boy is determined to fix this. He tells Clue he is willing to do whatever it takes to help her finally communicate without knocking everyone out. A simple thanks from Clue officially ends the testing for the day. Kelvin is face down and finished, so our MC decides it is time to head to the kitchen and handle dinner duty. Round 4 is a new combo of warm honey ginger lemonade and a face mask. Clue takes a sip and asks the guys how they are holding up. The squad is stunned to still be standing after the talking test. Our boy and the crew are beyond relieved while Clue looks like she just won the lottery. Grices breaks down the data while the test subjects recover on the floor. It turns out the drink and mask combo provides enough resistance as long as she keeps her volume down. Kento is thrilled that he can finally have a real conversation with her. Clue gives him a heartfelt thanks, but Ferris looks like she is about to drop some hard truth. Ferris shuts down the celebration with a serious reality check. Relying on gear is fine for now, but neglecting actual training is just as bad as things were before. As her mana grows stronger, the chance of a magical blowout only increases. The elf makes it clear that these items are just a temporary safety net. Clue takes the advice to heart and promises to keep working on her magic control. The mission for true mastery is officially on. Since mastery takes time, Ferris asks if Kento can stick around to keep providing the support. He does not miss a beat and agrees to stay on the job. Our boy gets serious, thinking about how much the Daybreak Squad has done for him and how he wants to return the favor. He checks on his latest kitchen experiment, and it looks like the mixture finally set into a solid form. He breaks down his recipe for yuzu and ginger jelly treats before prepping them for a taste test. Candies are packed and ready to go as he drops by Clue's room to share some tea and sweets, earning him a rare reaction from the quiet girl. Clue is absolutely loving the tea time vibes, and our MC is just happy to see her enjoying his modern world treats. After a successful snack break, he leaves the rest of the goodies with her and wishes her luck on her upcoming training. Back in his own space, he realizes he needs to upgrade his utility apps, but the massive point cost nearly gives him a heart attack. Checking his stats shows Kento a full breakdown of his magic and attack power just like an RPG. It looks like his latest level up unlocked way more detail than before. Our boy wonders if this feature works on non-humans and tests it out on his jar of treats. One quick scan later and his jaw hits the floor. The app now sorts everything into categories like people, food, and gear. He realizes his basic dagger actually has a critical attack bonus because it came from Earth. A new system notice drops a major lore bomb. Apparently, mixing items from his shopping app with things from this world actually buffs their stats. The app encourages him to keep leveling up to boost these effects even further. This changes everything about how he handles his gear. Everything clicks as he realizes why his party has been performing so much better lately. He decides it is time to start scanning everything in sight to see what else he can find. Kelvin catches him in the act and asks what he is up to with a suspicious look. Kento panics and hides the tablet in a book, feeling like he just got caught taking secret photos. Our boy realizes the app can scan practically anything from local street food to the gear on an adventurer's hip. He tests the limits of his new cheat on everything in sight. A flood of data hits the screen revealing detailed stats for everyone in the squad. While most info is clear, he notices a weird pattern where only Clue's level is fully visible. Next up is Ferris, but the app starts acting up when he points it her way. Staring at the blacked out boxes for her level and age, he realizes some things are just hidden. Ferris just gives him a playful wink, reminding him that a girl's secret is strictly off limits. Things get even weirder when he tries to scan the guild receptionists and gets a total blackout. The system straight up tells him he is too low level to view their info. Just as he is getting frustrated, a notification pops up on the tablet. Since he leveled up for the first time, he gets a brand new application as a reward. He checks out his new login bonus and finds it lets him pick a free stat boost or a mountain of points once a day. Seeing 50,000 points on the menu nearly makes his heart stop after all the grinding he did before now. He decides to skip the raw points for now and dumps his daily bonus into stats instead. One tap on the magic tab and he is officially sitting at a clean 200. Since the tablet literally drains his mana to stay on, keeping his stats high is basically the only way to keep his phone charged. He hovers over the level up prompt, wondering just how much the next jump is going to cost him. His heart drops when the system demands over 500,000 points for a single level. Realizing 1 point equals 1 yen, he realizes his shopping addiction is about to get extremely expensive. Kento is finally diving into his first dungeon at Wind Valley to knock out a B-rank request. The wind is so strong he can barely keep his eyes open while trying to stay upright. Since he brought Clue along for the ride, she handles the heavy lifting by slashing through waves of bonefish. She knows the trick to taking them down, but there are way too many for a simple frontal assault. Clue decides to end the chaos with a single command that freezes every monster in the room. Kento is blown away by how effective her magic voice has become, but she insists it is only because of the prep work he did for her. She stays in control by snacking on the special candies Kento made to keep her mana stable. Combining those with her enchanted mask means she can finally speak in public without causing a magical disaster. The duo stands over a pile of fish bones and wonders if they can actually turn these things into a snack. Kento thinks he saw a recipe for them once, though they definitely do not look appetizing. Back at the guild, they get a warm welcome after surviving their trip to the valley. Kento heads straight to the counter to see if there is any more work for them to do. Looking over at the quest board, he notices something is seriously off. The board is almost empty, making him wonder why all the regular requests have suddenly vanished. Clue finishes the report just in time for a weird phenomenon called the idle time. Monsters just stop spawning in dungeons for no reason, which basically puts the whole guild on a break. Walking through town, they realize they got lucky by finishing their quest before the lockout. Everyone is starving after a long day of work, so they head home to get dinner started. Back in the kitchen, he looks over his supplies and wonders what he should whip up tonight. He checks the inventory and finds some leftover dungeon fish from a previous haul. He grabs a potato and opens his shopping app to order some thick fried tofu to complete the menu. Dinner is served and it looks amazing. Between the fish meunier and the fresh potato salad, he is really leveling up his chef skills. He considers ordering some bread through the app to finish the spread, but a voice from the door signals that the rest of the crew is finally home. Rugler drops by with a huge bag of fresh bread he found. Our boy is hyped because the timing for dinner prep is actually perfect. While Kento clears the table, the crew starts lining up their post-meal requests. Ferris admits she is really in the mood for a drink once the food is gone. The bread from Rugler is a total win. It is soft, chewy, and basically the perfect fantasy flatbread for tonight. Kento agrees to whip up some appetizers and Ferris is basically floating with joy. She showers him with thanks as he gets to work. Since the adults in the squad are serious about their booze, the house actually has its own private wine cellar. Kento heads down the creaky stairs to see what they have in stock. He scans the racks for something crisp and light. He is looking for a white wine equivalent to pair with the fish he is planning to cook. Time to reveal the secret weapon. He pulls out the bonafish they hunted earlier and prepares to turn them into the ultimate crunchy snack. Our boy finishes up a batch of deep-fried bonefish chips. They look light, crispy, and surprisingly tasty for literal fish skeletons. He takes a bite and realizes he definitely nailed the recipe. Back in the kitchen, the loud noise from the other room is already getting on his nerves. He really wants a drink too, but he knows he has to wait and eat with Clue later. Meanwhile, the party is in full swing. Ferris is absolutely loving the food while Rugler heads out to grab another round for the table. Later that night, things finally quiet down in the room of Clue. Since Kento is still technically underage, he and Clue stick to hot tea while the adults carry on downstairs. The next morning, the consequences of last night finally catch up with Graces. She is nursing a brutal hangover while Kento and Clue look on with concern. Despite the headache, Graces is not letting anything stop her. It is discount day at the market, and she is ready to power through for those deals. Once they reach town, Graces heads off to hunt for some new cosmetics. She promises to meet back up with Kento and Clue in the town square later. Since they have no destination in mind, Kento suggests wandering the town and Clue is all in. They find a shop with mannequins in the display, and the clerk welcomes them inside to browse. Clue asks if he wants anything, and Kento admits it is finally time for some new threads. He steps out in a new hoodie and asks for their take. It is a unanimous win as both girls give him the thumbs up. They end up spending the whole day shopping before cooling off with some local fruit juice. Walking back with a mountain of bags, they laugh about spending so much. Kento justifies it because payday finally hit. Since joining the squad, he has been getting his salary straight from Ferris herself. With 300,000 ren in his pocket, Kento is finally feeling some financial freedom. He needs a lot of that cash for app upgrades, but a little splurging today won't hurt. Hanging out in the town square, Kento and Clue wonder if Graces is still busy with her shopping spree. Suddenly, our boy stops paying attention and slams right into someone with a heavy whum. He instantly apologizes, just glad his drink stayed in the cup. Things take an unexpected turn when Luluka spots him and calls out his name. It is none other than Kotz, and he hasn't changed a bit. He wastes no time calling Kento a moron for wandering around town. Clue is left wondering who this random guy even is. Clue glares from behind her mask, clearly not vibing with the toxic energy. Kento sighs and admits this dude is a member of his former party. Clue's patience has completely run out as the insults keep flying. Kotz and his new girl mock Kento for being a useless odd jobs kid who can only handle laundry and cleaning. Kento hangs his head while Clue gets ready to step in, but a familiar voice suddenly takes over. Graces lists off every way Kento is actually indispensable before comparing the trash talker to a barking little dog. Graces keeps the momentum going, listing off how Kento handled everything from 5-star cooking to high-level gear maintenance. She calls out his toxic attitude, noting that normal people would actually be grateful for such a GOAT support member. Kotz is stunned, but Graces suddenly stops as a memory of his face finally clicks. She points a finger and exposes him as the sub-leader of that stupid party who wasted intermediate magic on low-level trash mobs. Kento finally connects the dots, realizing this must be the same Dragon's Breath squad Graces complained about in the past. Kotz tries to find his voice, but she shuts him down by asking what right he has to even open his mouth about her Kento. Knowing he's lost this round, Kotz clicks his tongue and drags Luluka away before things get even more embarrassing. Kento calls out to his former leader, officially revealing that he is a B-rank adventurer now. He admits he might have been a burden back then, but those days are long gone. Kento keeps it classy with a smile, telling his former leader that one day, he will finally prove his worth. Kotz is not buying the hype, reminding Kento that he could not even swing a sword back in the day. Calling it a stupid joke, Kotz walks away while muttering about how much he hates our boy. Clue is absolutely fuming over the disrespect, but Kento just laughs it off and tells her it is all good. Graces has a different plan, casually reaching out to slap a glowing magic circle onto the back of Kotz's head as he leaves. She lets out a devious laugh, explaining that the dude deserves to stub his toe every single day until he faints in agony. Kento and Clue are low-key terrified of her power, but Graces is already over it and ready to head home for some lunch. Kento promises Graces he will cook whatever she wants today, which has her absolutely hyped. After finding out about the recent drama, Ruggler and the crew lose their minds and force Kento into some serious battle training. Even Clue gets dragged into the grind. Ruggler hypes him up, telling him to get strong so no one talks trash ever again. They are not letting him slack off for even a second. Fast forward 6 months and the dude has spent every waking moment grinding out levels against monsters. His grind pays off big time, with a massive savings account and a level up past 20. He looks at his stats, noticing he has hit level 22 with some solid gains. Suddenly, the blacked out apps on his tablet finally become available for unlock. He has got new options like potion mixing and something called Beast of Burden. He is low-key confused about what these new powers actually do. Our boy is back in the lab and ready to work. He sets down a heavy wooden box with a satisfied grin. The tablet reveals some juicy new features including Beast of Burden and potion mixing. Taming monsters is on the horizon, but it looks like that ability is strictly for dungeon crawling. With a stash of saved materials and some shop-bought extras, he is ready to dive into the alchemy grind. He decides to test out the potion app before trying anything else. A quick breakdown reveals that magical meds are the real deal in this world. They are way more effective than the cheap regular stuff and can even wipe out status ailments instantly. It turns out Ferris and Graces are absolute potion masters. Their high-tier brews are actually the main reason the Daybreak squad stays funded. The app puts him at an apprentice level, but he has a secret weapon. Mixing in items from Earth will make his potions even more busted than the local versions. He chooses a simple ointment for his first experiment to compare the two worlds. The recipes are almost identical, but the Earth materials are going to be the game changer. He lines up both sets of ingredients on his desk. Prepping the materials for both versions of the ointment is a simple process. Time for some magic. He holds his tablet steady and gives the command to mix. Both batches look nearly identical once they are finished. He realizes that a physical test is the only way to see if the Earth version actually performs better. Using a box cutter from his shopping app, he gives his fingers a light slice. He rubs a different ointment onto each one to compare the results side by side. The experiment is a major success. While the local stuff is functional, the Earth-based ointment heals the cut instantly without any of the usual itching. Adding materials from home is a total game changer for his supply. Keeping the most effective meds ready for a crisis is a top priority. He decides to go all in and level up his potion mixing skill. It costs 200,000 points to hit level 2, but he locks in the upgrade without hesitation. Kento hits level 2 in potion mixing and is hyped to see the new categories. He is officially a potions master now and is ready to cook. He dives straight into the experimental stuff, brewing up potions that change everything from hair to eye color. The lab is looking more like a character creator screen at this point. Time for a taste test. The stuff is nasty, but he chugs it down anyway since the effects are only supposed to last a few minutes. The transition hits him hard. He is now a full-on elf girl with the assets to match, but a quick check downstairs confirms that everything he once had is officially gone. Low-key vibing with the new look, he can't stop checking himself out. Just as he gets comfortable, a sudden knock on the door sends him into an instant panic. Ruggler is on the other side looking for him. Our boy is currently a whole waifu, so this is about as awkward as it gets. Trying to stall only makes it worse, especially since his high-pitched voice is an immediate red flag. Ruggler thinks he is sick and decides he is coming in whether Kento is ready or not. Kento tries to play it cool while hiding his current state. He insists he is fine, but the panic in his voice is hard to miss. Ruggler catches a glimpse of the Kento, but his transformation had suddenly worn off and he wasn't wearing pants yet, making the situation look very suspicious. Blushing hard, Kento panicked while Ruggler smirked and quietly closed the door again. Fast forward to the next day and the embarrassment is still fresh. Ruggler is still teasing him, but it is time to focus on some serious magic testing. Mixing potions is not free since it drains his mana like a hungry battery. He learns the hard way that hitting 0% magic means a one-way ticket to passing out. He hits up a dungeon to field test his new Beast of Burden app. It is time to see what this thing can actually do in the wild. Scanning a nearby rock turtle brings up a taming prompt with a surprising twist. Apparently, leveling up the app unlocks an evolution mechanic he was not expecting. Taming a slow turtle is not the move right now, so he decides to keep looking. He needs something with a bit more potential than a walking rock. Kento scans the beginner dungeon with his tablet, but the results are a total letdown. Not a single monster in the area is capable of evolving. He scratches his head, ready to just pick any random mob for a test run. Suddenly, something catches his eye in the distance. Floating right there is a winged snake, a rare sight outside of its usual treetop habitat. Our boy wonders if the little guy is just straight up lost. No point in overthinking it. He hits the prompt on his tablet to attempt to tame, hoping his luck holds out. The Beast of Burden app opens up a new slot for the snake, but Kento is confused. He didn't even see a notification about an evolution path. Taming it was way easier than he expected, with 0 battle required. Now the system is asking him to give his new pet a name. Naming is the hardest part, especially since he doesn't even know if it's a boy or a girl. He starts tapping away at the keyboard anyway. Our boy locks in the name Winger and initiates the summon. Magic starts swirling around his feet as the system goes into overdrive. A flash of light and a sudden pop. Right in the center of the circle, the tiny winged snake makes its grand entrance. The little guy is actually kind of adorable. It immediately takes a liking to its new owner, nuzzling up against him with a friendly hiss. Ferris is absolutely losing it at the sight of the new pet. Kento just gives a shrug and tells her he found it flying around, which only makes her more confused. Turns out this is not just any regular snake. Ferris explains that it is a rare specimen with the potential to evolve, something you almost never see in the wild. These things usually avoid humans like the plague, so catching one is a total flex. The fact that it is acting this chill is definitely not normal. Usually, taming involves a brutal beatdown until the monster is too weak to fight back. Kento realizes his easy mode tablet method might be breaking the world's common sense. Ferris realizes our boy is completely clueless about world common sense. She calls him out for acting like he has never heard about the rarity of his new pet. The pressure is on as she asks the million-dollar question about how he actually pulled off the taming. Kento just looks away, sweating while he tries to dodge the truth. His excuse about finding it in a field and just chanting a command sounds totally fake. Without mentioning the tablet, the whole story feels like a load of nonsense. A deadpan stare from Ferris is the only response before she concludes that the pair is just weird. Winger just flickers its tongue while his owner plays it off. We kicks off with our boy Kento whipping up some curry while Winger chills on his shoulder. He asks the little guy if he is down for a taste test of the new recipe. Winger goes full gourmet on a plate of curry, and his reaction is pure gold. Solo cooking was fine, but Kento realizes that having a companion in the kitchen makes everything better. The news about taming a rare winged snake hits the squad, and Clue and Graces are looking like they just saw a ghost. Nobody expected him to pull that off so easily. Winger is officially the Daybreak mascot, and everyone is head over heels for the little guy. Even with some members feeling a bit jealous of the spotlight, the squad is closer than ever. Ferris is absolutely loving the dinner and cannot get enough of that spicy kick. Kento's stash of earth spices is officially a massive hit with the boss lady. Mental note: Ferris is a major spice fan. Kento watches a bloated Winger bob around the room, looking more like a fat Tsuchinoko than a regular snake after that meal. 2 weeks have passed since the taming, and the peaceful vibes are still going strong. Even Kelvin, who usually cannot handle any spice, is officially won over by the new curry recipe. Kento catches up with a familiar face and credits his recent solo success to his new partner. Apparently, Winger is basically a cheat code for tracking monsters, which has the little guy feeling pretty smug. The winged snake is riding high on the compliments and soaking up all the attention. Kento teases the little guy for being so easily flattered before someone calls out his name. It is a surprise reunion with Agus, who is out on a shopping trip with a mysterious woman. He is shocked to hear our boy officially cut ties with his old party, but the vibes are still friendly. Kendo catches him up on his new life as a B-rank adventure with the Daybreak crew. Agus is just happy to see him thriving, though he cannot help but notice the weird little snake acting as a luggage carrier. Agus introduces his wife Milty, who is actually in her final month of pregnancy. Kento is genuinely hyped for them, while Milty is just another fan of the adorable snake. The wholesome moment takes a hit when Milty suddenly gets hit with a wave of dizziness. Kento and Agus immediately go into protective mode as she tries to play it off. Agus explains that she has been feeling under the weather lately, but she insisted on coming out for a change of pace. Even with her trying to stay positive, it is clear that something is not quite right. Agus explains that magical energy gets pretty unstable during pregnancy in this world. Milty tries to play it cool, but Kento can tell his old mentor is genuinely worried. She tells him he is overreacting, but Agus is already planning a trip to a potions master. He is not taking any chances with his family's health. After a wholesome promise to cook them a feast later, the couple heads out. Our MC watches them go, feeling the weight of the moment. He realizes that Agus is the whole reason he is even able to make a living in this world. The gratitude is real, and he wants to find a way to pay him back. Agus notices the shift in his vibe and gives him a nod of approval. He is officially impressed by how reliable our boy has become. While walking home, our boy considers using his potion mixing app to help Milty out. The only problem is that nobody is going to drink a mystery potion from an amateur, so he needs a license. He goes straight to Gracis for the inside scoop on the professional scene. He drops the big question about how to become an official potions master in this town. Gracis is caught off guard when our boy casually admits he can whip up magical medicines. He is quick to humble himself though, claiming he is not on her level or the big boss Ferris yet. Using the potion mixing app to make a living sounds like a solid plan. He wants to be ready to help Agus and his family if things get rough after the baby is born. Questioning why he did not mention it sooner, Gracis listens as he explains the need for a license. He figured asking a pro like her was his best move. Playing along with the small-town story is a lot easier than explaining a magical tablet from another world. Gracis just assumes he is from a tiny village in the middle of nowhere. After admitting he got distracted by the Daybreak crew, Gracis finds the whole situation hilarious. She knows exactly how it feels to have too much fun and lose track of time. Certification is not just a walk in the park. Gracis lays out the 3 big rules for getting officially recognized by the association. Requirements include studying under a master, paying a hefty fee, and mastering 15 types of medicine. The cash and the craft seem like easy wins for him. Gracis wants to see what our boy can actually do, so he heads to the back to grab a sample. He is a bit hesitant about the testing method, but eventually gives in and presents a bowl of his custom ointment. Gracis takes a deep whiff of the stuff, noting she even tested it on a cut finger to be sure. He takes the plunge and slices his own finger open, making Gracis wince at the sight. The second he rubs a tiny bit of the medicine on the wound, it vanishes into thin air. Gracis can hardly believe her eyes as she stares at his perfectly healed skin. Gracis absolutely loses it, screaming about how impossible it is for such a small amount of medicine to work that fast. She grabs his hand and gets uncomfortably close to inspect the damage. Not a single scar or trace of the cut remains. Before he can even start explaining the process, she cuts him off and tells him to keep his mouth shut. In this world, you never just give away your secret recipes or mana techniques to strangers. She realizes this stuff is straight up top tier and would sell for a fortune on the market. Without skipping a beat, she demands to know when he is going to take his professional test. Our boy tries to argue that he does not meet the requirements yet, but she is not hearing any of it. Turns out Gracis is a certified potions master and offers to become his teacher on the spot. With her backing him, he can skip the line and take the test immediately. He is more than happy to accept the help. She cannot help but giggle, admitting that with skills like his, she probably has 0 things left to teach him. He is just relieved the licensing hurdle was this easy to clear. Hopefully, Ferris will not be too annoyed when she finds out. Our boy pulls up to the massive potions master headquarters, and the place is basically a fortress. Gracis leads him inside since only the big shots are usually allowed in. They meet a guy named Lucher who is clearly surprised to see Gracis again. Lucher can barely keep it together when Gracis drops the news that she has actually taken on an apprentice. He asks what brings them by, and she is straight to the point about wanting to register our MC for the test. The old man thinks it is unbelievable that she finally has a student. Gracis is already flexing for her student, calling him amazing while Lucher tries to process the hype. Things get official when the clerk asks to see Kento's hand for registration. Before he knows it, Lucher takes a quick blood sample, which catches our boy off guard. The registration cards start glowing as the magic kicks in, finishing the process in seconds. Lucher hands over the official guild card and the test sheet for Kento to sign. Our boy is starting to feel the pressure as everything moves way faster than he expected. Lucher keeps it real and warns them that a failing grade means a whole year of waiting before a retake. Kenta gives a nervous yes, but Gracis is completely confident in his skills. Since the decision is made, the official starts breaking down the rules. Turns out passing is just the start, because you have to supply the association with meds for a full year to prove you did not cheat. If you fail to deliver, they will snatch that license right back. Kento takes it all in, realizing the association does not play around. The rules get even stricter when Lucher spots the little guy on Kento's shoulder. Having a monster help pick ingredients is a huge no-no, so Winger has to sit this one out. The poor snake looks absolutely devastated by the news. Gracis tells Winger to wait with her while Lucher points our boy toward the testing area. He gives a quick nod and prepares to go in solo. She gives him a final reminder to keep his cool and just focus on making the medicine. Kento tries to shake off the feeling of being totally alone. Eyes locked in, he promises to do his best. Meanwhile, the library is buzzing with rumors about Gracis finally taking an apprentice. Everyone is shocked the legendary potions master finally broke her streak of working alone. The staff are already watching, curious to see if this new guy can actually deliver. Winger is losing it. The little snake is fidgeting like crazy while waiting outside, and Graces has her hands full trying to calm him down. She gives the little guy a pet and a smile. She knows the wait is rough, but she has zero doubts that her student's top-tier potions will carry him through the test. Inside the testing area, a sharp knock on the door breaks the silence. Someone is asking for permission to enter. 3 officials step inside to get things started. Edgar, the man in charge, confirms Kento's identity alongside August and a friendly supervisor named Siren. Kento takes a look around the chamber. It is a windowless room with barely any furniture, and the examiners explain the setup is meant to prevent any chance of cheating. Edgar hands over the official task list. He needs a wound healer, a hangover cure, and an antidote for dungeon venom. Kento scans the paper, realizing his app already has the recipes ready. The lead official holds up a finger to lay down the law. He has exactly 1 hour to finish the job, but Kento is not worried since his instant brewing skill makes the clock irrelevant. Surin asks if he is a manual mixer or a magic pro. Our boy is sweating because his magic is just a tablet app. He bluffs that he is a pure magic user to keep things simple. Surin is totally fine with that and hauls the tools away. August shows him the stash of ingredients. MC realizes he has to sift through a mountain of herbs to find the good stuff. Kento asks about the cheating policy to make sure his digital cheat code stays under the radar. He is playing it smart while hiding the truth. The official explains that borrowing magic or using pets is a big no-no. It is all about personal mana and individual skill. Luckily for him, recipe books are allowed. Since the tablet runs on his own juice, he is officially in the clear. The examiners leave and the door slams shut. It is showtime for the most overpowered potion master in the room. Our boy decides to kick things off with a familiar recipe for wound cream. He starts listing the ingredients but suddenly hits a major snag. Looking at the table, he realizes there are 3 different plants that look almost identical. He has no clue which one is the actual cat's eye grass. Telling them apart requires looking at a tiny stone in the middle, which is impossible to see from a distance. Luckily, the app has detailed diagrams for every variation. Now he has to choose between making the standard local version or the high-tier Earth version. He gathers the rest of the materials and keeps his momentum going. Since a failure means waiting an entire year for a retake, he decides to play it safe and goes for the Earth materials. He quickly buys some aloe and purified water through his shopping app. Time to cook. He activates the compounding skill, and the whole room lights up with a glowing magic circle. The potion is finished, but now comes the scary part. He spots a dagger nearby and realizes he has to test the cream on an actual wound. The cream works like a charm, but our boy is still feeling the phantom pain from that cut. Healing is instant, but the sting is very real. Next up on the exam list is a hangover cure. This part of the test is all about identifying the right herbs from a pile of look-alikes. Moss tree roots and flame-tailed fish scales are just sitting there, waiting to be picked. He realizes they are trying to trip him up with similar materials. Looking at the messy table, he realizes checking every individual ingredient manually will take way too long. He needs a faster way to sort through the junk. A sudden flash of inspiration hits. He decides to try out the information skill on his tablet to scan the items directly. One quick snap and he is back in business. The app identifies a sweet berry and even explains its medicinal benefits for the liver. With the scan complete, he tosses in some tangerine and clams before activating the compounding magic. He manages to craft an antidote for a venomous monster he has never even heard of. Since he is not actually poisoned, he decides to use the tablet to verify the quality of his work. The recipe list for this one is massive. Seeing poison threads on the menu makes him realize he needs to buy some rubber gloves from the shop before things get dangerous. Our MC stares down a pile of earth materials and hopes the app's logic is solid. After one final check, he pulls the trigger on the compounding magic. The inspector is floored that the kid finished a high-level exam in under an hour. He realizes the absolute madman actually sliced himself open just to verify the potion worked. Since the potions need a deep dive, Lutcher tells him he has an hour to kill. Kento takes the win and heads back to the lobby. Winger is practically glowing when Kento finally walks out. The little snake is hyped to see his favorite person again. Graces is right there waiting for the update. Kento thinks he crushed the recipes, and she is just relieved everything went smoothly. They decide to find a spot to relax while they wait for the official word. Relaxing at a cafe, Kento gets all humble and thanks her for the chance. Graces tells him to chill out because the official announcement hasn't even dropped yet. Graces starts laughing and tells Kento that her help is nothing compared to the miracles he pulls off for them. Our boy can't help but blush as his heart does a little nervous thump. Kento tries to play it cool and shifts the conversation to when Graces actually joined the party. She just gives him a mysterious look and claims it was so long ago that she already forgot the details. She explains that she has known Ferris since forever and the elf has a habit of picking up random strays. Between Ruggler, Kelvin, and the rest, they eventually had to get a whole house as a base just to fit everyone. Graces admits it has been a lot of trouble over the years, but she seems to enjoy the chaos. Kenta just laughs and enjoys his tea while Winger hangs out on his shoulder. Grassus leans in and adds that every once in a while, Ferris actually manages to pick up someone pretty cool. Before she can elaborate, an official cuts in to interrupt their little chat. Lutcher walks over to announce that the test results are already back. Gracis is impressed by the speed and tells Kento it is time to head to the reception desk. Back at the desk, the official apologizes for the delay and confirms everything is looking good. Before giving him the final results, he reaches out and hands Kento a mysterious small pouch. Grassus stares at the little pouch like it is a mystery box. Kento just gives her the green light to finally open it up. Inside is a master salve-maker bangle with a glowing emerald. Gracis explains the symbol while Kento realizes the gravity of his new rank. Lutcher drops the big news with a proud grin. Our boy officially passed the exam and is now a certified master. The official admits the venom antidote test was a total nightmare for a kid his age. He gives all the credit to Gracis and her training, and she is more than happy to take the win. Lutcher tells him to go out and make them proud with his new title. Kento is beaming with pride as he promises to do his absolute best. Kento hopes his new status can help out Agus and his family. A few days later, the peace is shattered as Milty starts gasping for air at home. A sudden thud brings Agus running into the room. He finds Milty collapsed on the floor and screams her name as the situation turns critical. Kento is back at the base, finally catching a break and tending to the garden. It is a furnace out here, so he decides it is time to call it and grab some lunch with his little buddy Winger. Since the rest of the Daybreak crew is out on separate missions, it is just him and his winged buddy today. He pulls out some leftover rice and lets Winger do his thing as a living microwave. To round out the meal, he grabs some instant miso soup straight from his shopping app. This Winger wave technique is actually pretty clutch for a quick hot lunch. Food is ready and it is looking perfect. A simple meal of onigiri soup is exactly what he needs. He is really soaking in the peace and quiet of a rare day off. Time to eat. Winger does not waste any time, absolutely inhaling his portion in seconds. He is looking more like a fat little sausage than a snake right now. Looks like Kento was not the only one who was starving. With the dishes cleared, he starts planning out his afternoon, but the peaceful vibe is cut short by a heavy sound coming from the entrance. Someone is outside, and they are seriously out of breath. Suddenly, the door is being pounded with total desperation. A familiar voice is screaming for a potion master, begging to be let inside. Kento freezes up as he recognizes exactly who it is. Agus is completely floored to find Kento on the other side of the door. Kento can barely believe it either, asking what the patrol leader is doing here. Once they settle in, Agus admits he completely blanked on the fact that Kento is part of this squad. He is clearly out of it, and Kento can tell things are looking rough. The reality of the situation hits when Agus drops the name of the condition, magical energy poisoning. Kento repeats the words, his face tightening as he realizes this is way above a normal illness. This disease is a nightmare that triggers when someone is overloaded with more mana than their body can handle. It is especially brutal for pregnant women who have to juggle their own magic along with their child's. When Kento asks if this is just a case of extreme morning sickness, Agus confirms it is much more dangerous. Milty is so weak she can barely move, and the doctor is worried she won't even have the strength for labor. They have already been to every doctor and potion master in the area, but nothing is helping. Hearing that even the pros have failed makes Kento realize just how desperate Agus really is. Agus explains he specifically came looking for a legendary master named Gracis Sham. Kento can only apologize as he realizes the woman they need is his own teacher. Agus breaks the bad news that Gracis is out in the dungeons for the next few days with no way to reach her. It is a massive blow to his only hope, and he can only stare in silence as the weight of the situation sinks in. Agus tries to apologize for the sudden intrusion, but the tension is visible in his white-knuckled grip. Kento watches him closely, knowing he cannot just let his friend suffer in silence. Stepping up with a look of pure focus, our boy makes a bold promise. He tells Agus straight up that he will be the one to craft a magical medicine for Milty. Agus is caught off guard, but Kento flashes his brand new license to prove he is the real deal as Gracis's apprentice. He swears to be there for whatever Agus needs, no matter the cost. With no other options left, Agus puts his pride aside and bows deeply, begging Kento to save his wife. The heavy silence is broken as he places everything in our MC's hands. Kento accepts the challenge with a sharp nod. He grabs one of the medicines Milty has been taking, planning to use his info skill to upgrade it into a superior, otherworld version. At first, he just wants to buy enough time until his master returns, but the look in his eyes shifts. Keeping symptoms in check is just not going to be enough for him anymore. Our boy locks in with a new sense of purpose. He is not about to let his debt go unpaid. This isn't just about potions anymore, it is about saving a life. He scans the data on the current meds. It is a weak lineup of simple suppressants for energy and dizziness. He can tell right away that this basic stuff isn't cutting it. A realization hits him. If he levels up his info app again, he might unlock the hidden secrets behind these medicines. More data means better solutions. He pulls the trigger on a massive level up. 560,000 points is a heavy price, but it is worth it for the upgrade. The system is about to evolve. The new info dump is wild. He can see everything from the maker's name to the exact rank and effect speed. It is a cheat code for medical analysis. Seeing that the current meds are only C rank explains everything. If the low-level stuff isn't working, he just needs to cook up something with a much higher rank. He starts searching through his stash for a potion he crafted earlier. The shelf is packed with identical jars, making it a nightmare to find the right one. Winger starts to reach out to help him out. Winger taps the exact jar Kento was looking for, proving he is a top-tier helper. Our boy realizes why having a cheat code familiar is banned during official association tests. Scanning the brew, he finds out his creation is stuck at rank C. It is a bit faster than the local versions, but it is not the breakthrough he needs for this medical crisis. His grip tightens on the tablet as he makes a call. He is ready to dump his points into a major potion mixing level up to reach the next tier. The system upgrade hits, unlocking a diverse library of advanced recipes for every symptom imaginable. He is stunned by the raw volume of knowledge he just acquired. With his new title as an intermediate potions master, the hierarchy of medicine ranks finally becomes clear. He pieces together that using high-quality materials from his own world could produce rank A results. Navigating the new menu, he dives into the mechanics of mana suppressants. He stops to think, worried that cutting off the production of magical energy entirely might be too dangerous. He filters the results down to 3 specific medicines meant for calming energy expulsion. It is a calculated gamble, and he needs to find the one that will not cause side effects. Our boy finds a magical energy suppressant that is actually safe for Milty. He lets out a sigh of relief because the other options would have been way too risky. The required materials list is a total mess. He needs everything from monster claws to basic groceries like chocolate and oranges. Reality hits hard when he realizes he has zero clue where to find half this stuff. Even with a crack shopping app, he is feeling the pressure. While the Earth items are easy to buy, the local fantasy materials are missing from his shop menu. He is basically stuck with a half-baked recipe. Just as he starts to panic, a memory of a conversation with Graces kicks in. He remembers her mentioning a specific perk that comes with his new license. Back during their walk near the association, she asked him if he knew the real benefit of being a pro. He was totally clueless at the time. Selling potions is one thing, but Graces had a much better secret to share. She smiled, getting ready to drop some game-changing knowledge on him. He finally realizes the biggest perk of his new title. Being able to buy master-level materials for cheap is the best. The association is basically a cheat code for rare monster parts that are normally impossible to find in shops. He even remembers some of the tough subduing requests Clue worked on in the past. Having easy access to this inventory is a massive advantage. Yeah, this is exactly what I need. Time to head back to the Potions Masters Association. Our boy is feeling the nerves as he walks back in. Hello, Mr. Yamazaki, the clerk says, welcoming him back. He thanks Lutcher for all the help during his exam. I am here to buy some specific materials for magical medicine, he says, getting straight to the point. He slides his shopping list across the counter. I need everything on this list. Lutcher is absolutely shook by the list Kento just handed over. He asks if our boy is really planning to mix this himself, but confirms the association can track down every single item. Since sourcing takes time, they give him a scented stone and introduce the Lichu, a tiny messenger that tracks scents. Kento is instantly sold on how cute the little guy is. He is told to chill in the building while they work, giving him a chance to explore. Graces was not kidding. This place is a total goldmine for rare materials. Back at the desk, the staff is reading through the order and scratching their heads. Flaming fish spines and water wolf beards. This is definitely not your average grocery run. Lutcher and Saren are starting to sweat over the request. They cannot wrap their brains around why a kid who just passed his exam last week needs such high-level monster parts. They are dying to know what kind of miracle potion he is about to whip up. While they stress, the little messenger squirrel is just in its own world, enjoying a snack. Kento takes a look around the association and realizes the place feels more like a high-end museum than a guild. He spots strange monster remains and plants that he has never encountered before. The tiny messenger is suddenly having a breakdown for some reason as Kento prepares to leave. He wonders if his business at the desk is officially done. The squirrel is losing its mind because a predator is hovering right behind our MC. Kento is confused and wonders why the little guy is so stressed. It finally clicks that having a snake around a squirrel is a recipe for disaster. He tries to get Winger to back off so the messenger can actually do its job. He gives the little guy a quick apology for the accidental trauma before it disappears. Winger just watches the whole thing with a blank expression and zero regrets. The association staff finally shows up with the requested monster parts and asks for a quick check. They apologize for the delay as they present the materials at the counter. Kento confirms the items match his digital database and tells the staff they look perfect. The clerk shifts focus to the payment and hands over a paper with the final costs. Kento scans the itemized list and immediately starts sweating. Each individual ingredient costs thousands of ren, and the bill is already piling up. The final total hits over 500,000 ren, leaving him completely shell-shocked. He recalls Graces mentioning these parts were cheap, but his empty bank account says otherwise. The official steps in to defend the pricing by highlighting the high quality. He points out that the cost covers the massive effort and risk required to harvest items from dangerous zones. Our boy does a quick reality check on his own combat skills. Since he is not a legendary warrior capable of raiding advanced dungeons, paying for the convenience actually makes sense. Better materials mean better results for the final brew. He knows that using premium association goods is the only way to guarantee a potion strong enough to save Milty. The lives of his friends are worth more than any amount of Ren. With his mind made up, he reaches for a thick stack of cash to settle the debt. He makes the final call and confirms he is buying the whole lot. The staff member gives him a nod of approval as the high-stakes transaction goes through. Our boy is already feeling the pinch. Unlocking skills was one thing, but these material costs are a different beast. The clerk ignores his internal crisis and starts packaging the massive order. He takes the goods and gives a polite bow before heading for the exit. He is almost out the door when a voice calls out, bringing him to a dead stop. A supervisor asks Edgar if he forgot something, but he has a very specific goal in mind. He steps forward with a sharp look. He needs a word with the association's newest prodigy. Edgar brings up the mandatory first-year assignment for all new potions masters. Kento recalls that he is supposed to turn in specific magical medicines to maintain his status. Edgar decides to hand out the first task immediately. Kento can only stare back in pure confusion. The request is simple. Since he is already brewing a high-tier potion, he just needs to make a second one for the association. Our MC starts panicking about the price tag, since another batch would cost another 500,000 Ren. Edgar tells him to relax. Usually, members have to scavenge their own materials, but the association is making a special exception and providing everything for this task. Edgar tells him they are looking forward to his submission, and our boy can only give a shaky thank you. Leaving the building is a relief, but he knows the association higher-ups are already keeping tabs on him. This whole situation has taken a very strange turn. Back at the base, he spreads his materials out and gets to work. No more distractions. He focuses his mana and triggers the mix skill in a burst of light. The results are in. He successfully crafted a rank A energy suppressant with a high speed of effects. This should be more than enough to handle the crisis. Time is running out. He grabs his bag and sprints through the city toward Aga's house with Winger tagging along. He reaches the house and finds Milty sitting up. She tries to be a good host, but our MC just needs her to focus on recovery. He hands the potion over and tells them exactly how to use it. Agus takes the bottle with a nod and Milty takes a sip right away. Her eyes go wide because it is a total game changer. Not only does she feel better instantly, but it actually tastes good compared to the junk she was taking before. Agus is finally breathing a sigh of relief and tells Kenta they should head to the living room so his wife can rest. Our boy just gives a polite nod and promises to follow them. Milty flashes a bright smile of gratitude before the guys leave her to sleep. Agus tries to play it cool, but his wife makes sure to tell him exactly where the tea is kept so he can host properly. Staring into his cup, Agus is still in shock over how fast that potion worked. Just a tiny amount was enough to bring the color back to her face. Agus reaches across the table with a heavy bag to show his gratitude. Our MC tells him to save the thanks until the baby is born, but the veteran knows this medicine is something special. Kento is caught off guard when he hears there is a cool 1,000,000 Ren inside the bag. Agus actually checked with the association and knows exactly how much a high-tier potion like that is worth. He immediately starts waving his hands to refuse the heavy payout. For Agus, a mountain of gold is nothing compared to saving the lives of his wife and child. Our boy explains that he only wanted to help and never asked for anything in return. He reminds the patrol leader that he was never even officially asked for the potion, but Agus is not letting him off that easily. Agus explains that Kento's help when he first arrived in town was worth more to him than any pile of gold. He knows he could have ended up dead or a criminal without that support, so this payment is more than fair. Kento finally stops the back and forth and agrees to take the money. He reminds the patrol leader to keep some for the baby, but Agus is just relieved his friend finally accepted. Our boy isn't done helping yet and reaches into his bag for some extras. He hands over a strength booster and nutritional supplements, making sure to mention they are perfectly safe for Milty. Agus immediately shuts down any talk of freebies and insists on paying for the new goods too. On the side, Kento is checking the numbers and realizes he is looking at another huge payout. With a heavy sigh, the veteran explains that even a total beginner could see how high quality these potions are. He refuses to take something so valuable for nothing, especially when the ingredients alone are worth a fortune. He drops some facts about Kento's master Graces, being a big deal in the association. If these potions hit the open market, they would easily sell for triple the price of anything else. Looking Kento dead in the eye, he tells him to stop lowballing himself. High-quality work demands a high price, and he needs to start acting like the master potion maker he has become. Agus breaks down the cold hard facts of the potion economy. Flooding the market with high-tier goods at a discount would bankrupt every other maker in town. Our boy finally caves and takes the cash after realizing he was about to crash the local economy. Agus suggests he just matches the market quality if he wants to keep his prices low in the future. Giving some last-minute medical advice, Agus notes the potion should last a full month. He makes sure Kento knows to hit him up if anything else comes up before heading out. Watching his friend leave, our MC smiles at the thought of the new baby arriving soon. It is finally time to head back to the association and turn in his latest work. A new face is waiting at the desk, a beautiful elf clerk who seems to have already heard stories about our rising star. He introduces himself to turn in his assignment, only to find out he is already the talk of the town. She hands off the medicine to a little messenger beast to carry it to the back office. Our boy is caught off guard by how fast they handle the paperwork. The little creature bolts away like a rocket because it is apparently a total scaredy cat. The clerk tells him it will only be a few minutes for the results, so he just has to hang tight. Kento tells Winger to stay hidden so he doesn't give the poor messenger beasts a heart attack. The clerk finally returns with the paperwork, ready to hand over his earnings. The payout hits the table and our boy nearly loses his mind. 700,000 ren is a life-changing amount for a single job. The clerk just smiles at his shock. She points out that high-level materials naturally command a premium price in this market. It turns out Agus was telling the truth about how valuable this stuff really is. Being a certified intermediate master means the association is willing to pay top dollar for his skills. The meeting wraps up with a promise to stay in touch for the next order. Kento heads back out, still processing the fact that he's officially rich. Standing in the street, he realizes he needs to get serious about his business strategy. With more requests bound to come in, setting the right price is going to be crucial. Staring at his tablet, he admits he'd be nothing without this digital cheat code. He is ready to dump every point into leveling up his apps, even if the road ahead is still long. Our boy is staying humble, admitting that he is not the strong one, it is all just the tablet. Of course, this digital cheat code is a total money pit, and he knows he still has a massive grind ahead of him. A few days after saving the patrol leader's wife, the man himself catches up with our boy in town. Agus waves him down with a big grin. Huge news. The baby arrived safely and Agus is giving Kento all the credit. Our boy stays humble, saying he just did what he could. The invitation is officially out. Agus wants him to visit once things settle down, since his wife is eager to say thanks in person. Kento is all for it. While walking through the village, Kento reflects on the successful potion. He knows his cheat code tablet is the real hero here. He checks to make sure his winged snake sees the tech as just a book. Everything seems normal until he notices something new on the screen. The system is leveling up again. 3 mystery apps have appeared, though they are currently blacked out and locked. 50,000 points is a lot, but Kento has lost his sense of money after his recent big payouts. He hits the unlock button but suddenly hesitates. The 3 new apps are officially on screen, and they sound like a major upgrade. Navigation and Danger Alert are easy enough, but Puppeteer definitely has our boy curious. Thinking the map app is a safe bet, he decides to test it out right there in the street. One quick tap later, the tablet lights up and gets a big reaction. A full 100-meter radius map of the town appears with a satisfying chime. It marks everything in the area from the local fountain to the nearest bar. It is basically a fantasy world GPS. Winger just hovers there with a bunch of question marks, proving the screen is still invisible to everyone else. He spots a little teardrop icon pulsing in the center of the display. Our boy realizes the arrow is his own live location and is pretty impressed. Time to put this new tool to use and explore some side streets. He realizes there are a ton of different routes to the guild that he never knew existed. He tries to fire up the Danger Alert next, but it hits him with a level requirement. It only connects with navigation at level 3, so he taps the screen to start the next upgrade. The Danger Alert app breaks everything down into specific threat levels. The top tier is straight up immediate death. Our boy is already sweating at the thought of hitting a level 90 zone. Right now his location is sitting at a solid 0. Perfectly safe. He decides he will save the real testing for the next time he hits a dungeon. Checking the map reveals perfect accuracy, even pinpointing the Daybreak House. This high-tech GPS is going to make transportation requests a walk in the park. Next up is the mystery app titled Puppeteer. The icon is a simple marionette. One quick look at the explanation has him freezing in his tracks. This tool allows him to control people and animals for a short burst of time. It is essentially mind control on a tablet. Bro is stunned by how broken this power sounds. A selection of nearby targets pops up on the screen. He scans through the list of icons, trying to wrap his head around the selection process. It turns out monsters like Winger are off limits for now. Our MC will have to level up the app before he can start pulling those strings. Meet Pesci, the neighborhood cat who treats everyone like a mortal enemy. Our boy decides this grumpy ball of fluff is the ultimate test subject for his new Puppeteer app. One tap on the icon and the magic takes hold immediately. A timer pops up on his screen, giving him exactly 2 minutes of absolute control. Time to see if this thing actually works. He looks the cat in the eye and tells it to stand up on its back legs. Pesci starts performing like a circus pro. From standing up to rolling over and even dancing, the cat follows every ridiculous command without hesitation. Getting a little too comfortable, Kento goes in for a celebratory cuddle. The timer hits 0, the cat immediately wakes up and chooses violence. A quick dose of magical medicine fixes the scratches, but he is not even mad. With navigation danger alerts and now mind control, his toolkit is getting dangerously overpowered. Just as he is wrapping up his tests, a familiar face appears. Ferris greets him with a warm smile, welcoming him back home. Our boy welcomes Ferris back to the house and hears that the entire squad is returned. He offers to cook something special, but she tells him a simple meal will be just fine. Ferris asks if they can all meet up after they finish eating. He is left wondering what kind of serious news is on her mind. Standing in the kitchen, he realizes he can satisfy her request with a clever shortcut. An idea strikes and he pulls out his tablet to browse for some frozen options. A stack of frozen pizzas appears on the counter with a flash of magic. Since he has Winger around to act as a living heater, he can finally serve these up. The group is blown away by the meal, thinking he spent hours working in the kitchen. Ferris feels a bit guilty for her request when the result looks this fancy. He plays it off as a team effort between him and his winged snake. He even remembers her specific preferences and offers some hot sauce to finish the dish. Dinner wraps up and the atmosphere shifts as the meeting officially begins. Everyone settles in, ready for whatever news is coming their way. Ferris opens the meeting by asking the group if they have heard the rumors about a dungeon with irregular monster sightings. The veterans recognize the location as Segelst Knoll, while Kento starts sweating because he knows it is a high-level intermediate zone. She doesn't beat around the bush and admits she wants to head straight into that dungeon. Rugler and Grassus can only watch in silence as she makes the official call. Her plan is for the entire squad to tackle the dungeon together as a team. The rest of the group is left completely stunned by the sudden field trip announcement. The squad is finally geared up and ready at the guild's massive fortress gate. Ferris drops the news that the paperwork is cleared, and it is officially go time for the infinity door. With a heavy creak, she swings the doors open and leads the charge. Kento and Clue are definitely feeling the nerves as they prepare to dive into whatever is on the other side. Total teleportation vibes. One step through the portal and Kento is suddenly surrounded by the towering trees of the nameless ancient lands. Our boy is low-key shook by the infinity door, a literal fast travel item that teleports them across the world in a blink. He looks back only to realize the gate is already gone. The veterans explain that this high-tier tech is strictly reserved for the heavy hitter requests. Since the dungeon is massive, they can focus on the grind without other parties getting in the way. As they move deeper, Grisus notices the vibes are getting a bit messy with all the mud. It is a tough walk, but at least they have the entire zone to themselves. Ferris whips out some support magic to coat their boots in a swirling wind. It is a buff to keep them from slipping in the sludge, and our MC is definitely grateful for the carry. The team realizes the dungeon is crawling with more monsters than expected. Rugler is shook that Ferris plans to keep them grinding for 3 weeks just to snag a special bonus. Ferris doesn't even hide it, admitting she is just trying to stack savings for later. Gracis isn't thrilled about being dragged along, but Ferris claims the quest required the whole squad to show up. Kento worries they might be a burden to the high-level veterans. Kelvin reassures him that it is all part of the training, reminding him he can always use the special ring if things get too spicy. These teleportation rings come in pairs for a reason. If one wearer is in deep trouble, they get instantly warped directly to their partner, placing them right by their side in an instant. Clue is low-key dreading her pairing, not wanting to end up warped next to Kelvin. Our boy Kelvin is just as cold, making it clear he isn't exactly thrilled about the situation either. Despite all the whining, nobody is actually backing down. Since the whole squad lives together, they all know they need the cash to keep the lights on. This is Kento's first time in an intermediate dungeon, but having the veterans around definitely settles his nerves. Plus, he has got his literal cheat code apps ready to guide the way and flag any incoming danger. Knowing they are heading into a serious intermediate dungeon, our boy gets to work on some much-needed prep. He grinds out some point farming by selling magic meds, dumping the profit straight into leveling up his navigation and danger alert apps. Leveling up navigation acts as a powerful map hack, expanding his radius to tag everything from party members to rare herbs. Danger alert gets a boost too, providing an advanced early warning system to keep the squad safe from high-level threats. Packing all the essentials into his storage bracelet, he even brings gourmet seasonings and a full kitchen set. Deciding to push west for a better campsite, the veterans lead the way while something lurks in the shadows behind them. Ferris drops a heavy magical blast while Rugler follows up with a clean slash to keep the monsters at bay. Rugler shouts a sudden warning as a dark, clawed shadow creeps up right behind Kento. Our boy senses the danger, but he is almost too stunned by the speed of the lurker to move. Before the monster can even blink, Kelvin steps in and deletes it with a single, cold-blooded slash. The girls do not even bother moving, knowing the veterans have everything under control. Seeing everyone's insane strength has Kento feeling a bit small, but Winger is not about to let his master feel down. The little snake lets out a hiss and a chomp, acting smug as Kento admits having him around makes him feel way safer. Ferris nukes the forest floor, blushing as she admits she went a bit too far with her magic. The squad has to tell her to dial it back before she accidentally turns the whole dungeon into a charcoal pit. Clue and Kento share a look of pure confusion and fear. It is that awkward vibe where you feel totally safe because your team is cracked, but also terrified they might accidentally take you out next. The group finally finds a decent spot to drop anchor and set up camp for the night. Kenta gets straight to work clearing the brush, doing his best to contribute to the high-level squad. Rugler hits the deck to inspect a strange sprout that just dinged into existence. Kelvin checks the perimeter and decides this is the perfect place to wrap up their march for the day. A tiny sprout dings into existence before suddenly growing into a full-size tree with a puff of smoke. Kento stares at the sudden growth while Ferris identifies it as an amulet tree. The glowing foliage acts as a natural repellent to keep monsters and hostile plants far away from their campsite. Ferris clears up the confusion, explaining that tamed beasts bonded to humans are safe from the tree's aura. With the perimeter secure, the group turns their focus to dinner as Kento gets ready to cook. The veterans quickly set up a field kitchen, and Kento asks how everyone likes their monster steaks cooked. From rare to well done, the squad rattles off their orders as the smell of fresh meat fills the air. Kento starts rattling off steak orders like a seasoned professional, making sure the cook is exactly right while the grill starts singing a heavy sizzling melody. Ferris takes a single bite and her ears immediately start flapping at max speed, which is basically the highest honor any chef can receive from an elf. The rest of the squad is losing it over the flavor profile, specifically that secret sauce, and they can't stop praising how perfectly everything was prepared. Just as they are finishing up the main course, our boy surprises everyone with a fresh tray of hot, cheesy gratin to really push the meal over the top. Relaxing by the crackling campfire, Ferris admits she is beyond grateful to have Kento around, especially since he turned a standard march into a luxury experience. Our boy is feeling the vibes and thinking 3 weeks of this life will be a total breeze, especially when Clue steps up to handle the post-meal cleanup. Clue decides to turn dish duty into a literal magic flex, using a swirling vortex of water to scrub the plates clean, while the rest of the team watches in pure awe. Our boy is caught red-handed on his tablet by Kelvin, who notices he is always glued to that book. Kento immediately panics, thinking he accidentally woke the guy up. Kelvin is curious about what is actually in the book, and Kento hits him with the most suspicious miscellaneous things answer ever. Kelvin does not press it but reminds him they have an early start, so it is time to sleep. Once he is back in the clear, Kento pulls up the Danger Alert app to check the perimeter around the camp. He breathes a deep sigh of relief that he did not get caught with the screen glowing. The system suddenly pings with a high danger level 52 warning, telling him he better watch his back. Rugler spots him still awake and checks in to see if he is having trouble sleeping. Kento is low-key stressing because he cannot exactly explain why he is so worried without exposing the app. Rugler just plays it cool, admitting that monsters are definitely lurking nearby. Rugler confirms the woods are crawling with beasts, but they are safe as long as they stay inside the amulet tree's protective zone. It is a natural barrier that keeps all the hostiles at bay. He drops some veteran knowledge, explaining that they are actually keeping watch for human thieves more than monsters. Between Ferris's distraction magic and the night guard, they are staying ready for anyone trying to pull a fast one. Rugler tells Kento to rest up while the squad handles the night watch. Our boy takes the win and signs off for the night. Rugler is already hyping up tomorrow's breakfast, while the rest of the camp settles in for the night. Kento can't help but wonder if he is being a little too confident about this whole mission. This is a brand new experience for him since his old squad never stayed out past sunset. Spending the night in the wild is a total shift from his usual routine. He falls asleep thinking he can easily survive the full 3 weeks. At the time, he had no clue what he was actually getting into. There is a hidden motive behind this dungeon raid that goes way beyond a simple paycheck. Ferris definitely has more planned than she is letting on. Our boy is back on the tablet shop, scrolling through his options until he lands on the perfect pick. The one tap on the purchase screen later, some deep-fried tofu and soup stock manifest in a flash of light. The Clue gets the pot ready while he starts dicing everything into bite-sized pieces. He leaves the temperature control to her magic as the rice and stock begin to boil together. While he wonders what to prep for tomorrow's lunch, Ferris casually mentions that they will be moving in separate groups soon. But the sudden change in strategy definitely gives him something new to worry about. A full week has already passed since the squad entered the dungeon. He realizes that if they can't eat together, he needs to pivot his cooking strategy toward portable snacks like sandwiches. Looking back, his first few days were just a blur of frantic sword swings and zero stamina. He spent most of that time getting beat up and collapsing from exhaustion, but he is finally starting to adjust to the pace. Back in the present, he pours some tea for Ferris while they enjoy a quiet, gentle meal. The cozy atmosphere doesn't last long once he asks for clarification on their new group formations. The Kento and Clue look over with concerned expressions. Ferris calls out their names, clearly about to drop a major update on their roles. While finishing her meal, Ferris drops a bombshell by casually announcing that the group is splitting up starting today. Our boy and Clue are left speechless by the sudden change. But the shock is so intense that the protest practically echoes across the entire mountain range. According to Ferris, they have both grown strong enough for this move. Kento can only wonder if the timing is really right. The Kelvin stays blunt about the fact that the veterans cannot protect them forever. They need to learn how to stand on their own feet and avoid danger. Adding to the pressure, Grisus explains that they want the pair to be able to defend themselves when the time comes. Kento tries to find the words to object, but he just cannot find them. The Ruggler is confident they will be fine since they have already been taught everything necessary. The squad sits around the fire, fully settled on this new plan. Staring into the distance, he realizes the veterans are right about his over-reliance on them. He takes a breath and finally gives his quiet agreement. The Ferris starts loading them up with some heavy-duty gear, including high-grade potions, antidotes, and presence erasers. Our boy stammers out a shaky thank you as the supplies start piling up. She gives Winger a final head pat and asks the little snake to keep the team safe. With a serious look, she announces that it is finally time to begin the solo mission. The Ferris promises to warp them back with her magic by sunset so they do not have to stress over the clock. Ruggler prepares to cut the cord as the final farewells are exchanged. An amulet tree usually acts as a temporary barrier that keeps monsters at bay, but it only lasts as long as the tree is standing. A single sharp slash brings the protective field down in an instant. But the moment the tree is destroyed, its protective effects vanish completely. The duo stands in the sudden silence of the forest, realizing their safety net is gone. Every monster in the vicinity immediately picks up their scent and begins closing in. Dark shadows with glowing eyes emerge from the brush, ready to pounce on the group. The Ferris tells them to clear this ambush as their first real test before waving goodbye. Our boy and Clue draw their blades, even though they are still nowhere near used to this level of pressure. But now that the veterans are gone, the weight of the mission finally hits. Our boy draws his steel as two shadow wolves step out of the brush, but he is not backing down. The beasts lunge forward for a quick meal, only to be met by a massive magical cyclone. Winger is not playing around, trapping both monsters in a swirling vortex of wind magic. But the monsters hit the dirt hard, completely shut down before they could even land a scratch. Stunned by the raw power, our MC moves in to confirm the kill. The Clue casually sheathes her blade, reminding him that she is more than capable of handling herself. A massive wave of relief washes over him as the tension finally breaks. The duo stands over the remains of their first real hurdle as solo adventurers. It is a small victory, but it proves they might actually survive this trip. Checking the bodies, Kento realizes these are just the same species they fought before. He offers Winger some praise for the assist, and the little snake looks incredibly smug about its performance. Avoiding more fights is the priority now, so it is time to go invisible. Our boy inspects a potion designed to erase their scent and presence, already thinking about how to craft this with his system apps. Our boy knows monsters have elite noses, so he pulls out some scent masking essentials. He sniffs the bottle, realizing it is dungeon tier important for their survival. The one whiff of that herbal medicine smell, and he is already regretting his life choices. He and Clue down the nasty brew in one go, struggling to keep it down. The taste is a disaster, but the effects are top tier. Hiding out in the brush, they cringe over the gross flavor while staying invisible to the local threats. Ahead of them, a crowd of dark figures fills the woods like a mob. If they stay hidden, they might survive, but the sheer numbers are looking sketchy. These things are pseudo-humans, poisonous monsters made of liquid that can melt gear in seconds. One touch and a sword is basically history. Since these creeps cannot hear, Clue magic voice is useless here. The plan is simple: if they spot one of these walking hazards, it is time to bolt. The Clue agrees that running is the move, but she seems distracted by something. She trails off mid-sentence, leaving a strange tension between them. The Clue reacts like she saw a ghost, catching our boy off guard. She quickly tries to play it off, swearing that it is nothing. Pointing out a boulder, she finds a hiding spot to avoid being spotted. As they settle in, the faint sound of footsteps tapping nearby puts them both on high alert. They hunker down in a low ditch behind the rocks, hoping the terrain will keep them invisible for a while. Kendo agrees that this is their best bet for staying out of sight. But the tension is high, but their stomachs decide to join the conversation with a synchronized growl. Kendo suggests a quick lunch break, and a flustered Clue quietly goes along with it. He pulls out some large sandwiches, boasting about the size of the bread to lighten the mood while they eat. Even with the food, he can tell she is still on edge and asks if something is bothering her. Our MC calls out her strange behavior from earlier, but tells her she does not have to talk about it if she is not ready. She hesitates, clearly surprised by how observant he is being. Fixing her glasses in silence, she finally thanks him for the meal once the awkwardness settles. He is just glad she liked the food, keeping the atmosphere relaxed before they have to keep moving. The Clue opens up about her personal life, mentioning she has a little sister. Our boy is caught off guard by the sudden heart-to-heart. She explains that her sister, Christiana, was always the better sibling and the one everyone actually cared about. It is clear there is some deep-seated family baggage here. The clue is convinced her sister could have handled these monsters with zero effort, leaving our boy feeling like he knows nothing about his own squad. Their heavy conversation is cut short when the bushes nearby start rustling. They hold their breath as the monsters shamble right past their hiding spot. Once the coast is clear, they agree to book it in the opposite direction before the creepers double back. Scrambling to his feet, our MC feels like a total mess for having nothing cool or clever to say to her. Despite being older on the inside, the pressure of the dungeon is really starting to get to him. He keeps his eyes on the trail, determined to focus on just one thing, surviving until the sun goes down. They head south, amazed that their stealth actually kept them off the monster's radar. They think they are safe for now, but a dark realization about their carelessness begins to sink in. The realization hits way too late that they completely forgot a major detail about this zone. Packed with an abnormal amount of monsters, the area is already crawling with glowing eyes tracking their every move from the bushes. The Kento and Clue are officially on their own now, trekking through the nameless ancient lands. The Clue breaks down the guild map, suggesting they head south where the monster affinities are easier to manage. This fan-shaped dungeon is no joke, especially since the guild maps can have a bit of a lag. The Winger isn't waiting for a command, slithering into the bushes to snatch a quick snack. The woods are crawling with trotting mushrooms, and they seem to be multiplying at a crazy rate. The Kento hears they taste great sauteed and goes in for the hunt, but he gets lured right into a trap. A monkey monster catches them off guard with a nasty splash attack, forcing our boy to swing for his life. Our boy thanks Clue for the save as he downs a potion to recover. He knows they have to be careful since their stash is already running low. Suddenly, Winger starts vibrating like a phone on silent mode. Our MC is confused, wondering why the little guy is suddenly so spooked. The Clue asks what is going on, but Kento is just as lost. He has never seen Winger act this terrified since they started their journey. The Clue wishes she could translate snake speak while Kento starts putting the pieces together. He realizes there might be a high-level threat lurking nearby. A creepy fog starts rolling in, and the vibe gets heavy. They barely have time to react before a massive shadow appears right in front of them. A massive black smoke tiger steps out of the mist, looking ready to turn them into a snack. The Clue is losing it because these things are only supposed to be in high-level dungeons. Kento is even more worried because the beast was totally missing from his map. The Kento realizes the map update failed to account for this sudden monster surge, and the situation is getting way too crowded. He is officially in over his head. A massive smoke tiger lunges out of the shadows with a terrifying growl. It lands a heavy blow on our boy, sending him reeling as he clutches his arm in pain. Kento hits the dirt, completely stunned as the beast towers over him. Before he can even process the situation, the monster snatches up little Winger in its jaws. The predator sinks its teeth into the white snake with a series of sickening rips. Kento screams out for his companion, watching helplessly as the situation turns into a nightmare. Driven by pure adrenaline, our MC charges forward to save his pet. Clue tries to hold him back, but he is already mid-swing and past the point of no return. The Clue screams for him to stop, but Kento has already locked in. He doesn't even flinch as he sprints headfirst toward the danger. The Clue manages to tackle Kento just as the monster mysteriously freezes in place. She drags him away while they have a chance, but he can only stare at Winger on the ground. The Winger is completely unresponsive. Our boy starts frantically checking for any way to save his companion. A notification pings on the tablet. It's a manual for injured beasts, showing that returning Winger to the app will stop the death timer. The little snake dissolves into light as the recall hits. At least the partner is safe for now. But the tablet confirms the healing is in progress. A quick lie about special magic keeps the tablet a secret from his teammate. A roar interrupts their attempt to regroup. Peeking over the edge reveals a situation they were not expecting. It's a monster turf war. The sheer amount of high-level threats in one spot is a total nightmare. The Clue decides to scout for an exit on her own. She tells our boy to stay put while she takes the lead. Our boy is tucked away behind a log, but the silence is getting to him. He checks the magic ring Ferris gave him, but the gem is dark. If the ring isn't reacting, maybe they aren't in as much trouble as he thought. The sitting around waiting isn't an option if they want to survive this. He clenches his fist and pulls out his tablet, determined to find an edge. He recalls a hidden function in the system. If he can push both navigation and danger alert to level 3, he can fuse the two apps into something better. The price tag is 575,000 points, which is basically his life savings. He doesn't even blink before hitting the yes button, because money doesn't mean much if you're dead. The system pings as the upgrade finishes. Both apps merge together, creating a brand new level 3 tracking tool. The Kento is stunned when the tablet disappears and the map projects directly into his field of vision. This change means he doesn't have to keep his hands occupied while tracking. His eyes go wide as the new map picks up a red signal. Something is closing in on their position at an insane speed. Our boy stops to look at a splash of liquid on his hand, wondering where it came from. Something flies overhead with a whoosh and he realizes it might be monster blood. A sudden rustle in the brush nearby puts him on high alert. He peers into the shadows and finds a tiny horned creature shivering on the ground. It looks like a baby monster that ended up all alone. Our boy stares at the shivering creature. It might be the lost cub of that massive fox from earlier. It is barely hanging on. It is still breathing. Saving the little guy might be possible if he can trigger the taming function. A system warning stops him cold, stating his level is too low for a beast of this rank. There is only one way around this. He exchanges his guild credits for points to force a manual level up. Upgrade complete. He immediately taps the confirm button. A magic circle erupts beneath the small creature. Life support kicks in just as its health hits 2%. A clue catches up and lets out a breath, telling our boy that things almost got way too close for comfort. As she leans in close to reveal that she found a safe path out, Kento looks surprised but ready to move. They check their inventory for more presence-erasing potions before the situation gets even worse. While they catch their breath, a massive spider monster crawls right past their hiding spot. No more time to waste. They start a full sprint through the woods while Kento uses his map to navigate the safest road. Kento is shocked she found this path all on her own. Clue keeps it cool, mentioning she has her magic voice ready if things get ugly. Something is still bothering her though. She realized that not a single monster even bothered to chase her earlier. The heavy thuds start echoing through the forest as the monster count begins to spike. This level of activity is definitely not normal. The predator stalks right past their hiding spot while they hold their breath. Clue wants to bounce before it comes back, and Kento agrees that staying out of sight is their only move. A warning ping lights up Kento's HUD, signaling that something heavy is closing in on their position. The Kento doesn't take any chances and immediately muff Clue to keep her quiet. The Kento realizes they are in trouble just as the forest goes silent. A heavy, spotted paw crushes the undergrowth nearby, confirming they aren't alone anymore. It is the same high-level predator from earlier, and it looks even hungrier this time. Kento can't believe their luck as the monster stares them down. The Clue tries to use her magic voice to trick the beast into thinking they are friends, but the tiger doesn't seem to be buying the bluff. The beast lets out a deafening roar that almost blows their eardrums out. Clue doubles down on her commands, but her magic might not be enough to stop this thing. The Clue hurls a paralysis potion straight into the beast's path. A thick cloud of smoke erupts. Our boy can't believe the plan actually worked. With the beast frozen by the medicine, Clue shouts for them to make a break for it. They don't need to be told twice and disappear into the trees. A bone-chilling roar echoes through the woods. Clue freezes as the reality of the situation sets in. She looks to Kento for any kind of plan. But that roar wasn't just for show. The monster was calling for backup. The Kento checks his map and his heart drops. Multiple signatures are closing in from every direction, and there is nowhere left to hide. The bushes start rustling all around them. The pack has arrived. The three predators step out of the shadows and corner the duo. One lets out a roar that shakes the forest floor. Clue realizes they might actually be done for. Just as the beast lunges, a sudden strike from the shadows catches it off guard. Kento can only watch in shock as the tables turn in an instant. Out of nowhere, Gorzes arrives and slams his massive axe into the predator with a confident grin. He tells the monster to take that as he clears the path. The reinforcements keep coming as another figure drops from the trees. Ardu is stunned to see their old allies showing up right when they needed them most. Leluka gives a friendly wave like she just ran into them at a grocery store. She is happy to see Kento again even if they are in the middle of a dangerous forest. The Welns drops some knowledge, letting the duo know they are suffering from a nasty intimidation debuff after that monster scrap. While the muscle handles the cleanup, a legend from the past appears. It is Karsesh, the leader of the old party Kento used to roll with, coming through with the wholesome vibes. The Kento introduces his former squad as the ones who carried him back in the day. Clue is just in the back, totally judging the new faces with a suspicious look. The mood gets a little awkward when Kento mentions his recent run-in with the toxic brother Kauts. Karsesh just takes the loss with a heavy sigh, knowing exactly how annoying his sibling can be. Karsesh is out here apologizing for the lack of chill from his brother, but the veterans are already moving on. Leluka and Gorzes keep the energy high as they officially greet the new team. Something seems a bit sus when Kento senses some weird tension, but the group plays it cool and insists everything is fine. Our boy realizes the one person missing from this reunion is his old hater Kauts. The look on the faces of the veterans says everything we need to know about that situation. Karsesh is just glad to see Kento found a solid squad that actually appreciates him. Clue doesn't hold back, pointing out that their whole party basically revolves around him now, though Kento tries to play it down as an exaggeration. While Leluka is already getting sentimental about missing him, Kento has a sudden realization. He calls out to Karsesh to get his attention. The Kento offers a little something for the whole team to enjoy. Karsesh looks on, curious about what our boy is pulling out of his inventory. It is just a simple snack, but a chocolate croissant in the middle of a forest is a total game changer. The smell alone is enough to get Karsesh hooked. The veterans are hesitant since food is so rare in this zone, but Kento assures them it is no big deal. Since he can cook monster meat and has his shopping skill, his stash is always topped off. He insists they take it as a token of his appreciation for the backup. It is a small gesture for a big rescue. Karsish takes the treat with a smile, finally giving in and offering his thanks. The Wellens locks onto something in the distance, sensing 2 heavy hitters and 15 minions in the area. Before anyone can react, he is already sprinting into the brush, leaving the rest of the team shouting for him to wait up. The Lukad and Gorzes are already over Wellens' habit of rushing into a fight without a plan. The Kento just watches with a smirk, knowing this reckless energy is exactly what he remembers from their days in the same party. Our boy breaks down the logic, explaining that Wellens always had a habit of doing the monster math out loud before diving in. Apparently, clearing out 15 small fries is just a warm-up for someone with his level of focus. He keeps the praise coming, noting how Wellens is basically a walking radar thanks to his constant search magic. It is a high-level flex that keeps the whole party safe from any unwanted surprises. The rescue mission is officially over, and Luluka lets the duo know that the veterans have to move on. She is a bit worried about leaving them alone in the forest, but Kento is confident they can handle whatever comes next. Before they split, Gorzes points out the high-level magic radiating from the rings on their fingers. Our boy is caught off guard, not expecting a pro to notice his gear so quickly. Kento confirms that the rings were a special gift from Ferris. Gorzes takes the info in stride, finally understanding why the duo is better protected than they look. Karsish trails off, acknowledging they just happened to be in the area to lend a hand. He wonders if the rescue was even necessary, leaving the duo looking totally confused until Clue focuses in on his words. Before heading out, Karsish officially welcomes them to the guild as fellow adventurers while Luuka gives a cheerful goodbye wave. Our boy is absolutely stoked, shouting out a loud yes to the veterans. The Kento reflects on how much better it feels to be recognized than to just do chores, but Clue immediately calls him out for grinning like a dork. They share a laugh about the unique personalities of the veteran squad until Clue suddenly freezes, her senses picking up something in the brush. Calling out to the shadows, she demands the hidden stalker show themselves, leaving Kento completely caught off guard. Kelvin and Ferris step out from the shadows, Kelvin admitting he is impressed that Clue sensed their presence. Clue begins to analyze the suspicious lack of monsters on their route compared to the sudden ambush once Kento joined her. Ferris confirms they were playing guardian angels, sweeping the path of any lethal threats before the duo ever arrived. Kento processes the fact that they were never actually alone, while the rest of the group debates the ethics of the separate mission. The veterans reveal the solo trek was a controlled trial intended to push their survival instincts and independent decision-making to the limit. Kelvin mentions the magic rings were the ultimate safety net, serving as a fail-safe if the situation became too dangerous to handle. Ferris is still tripping over the fact that she was spotted, wondering how a mystery pro saw through her high-level concealment. Kelvin gives the duo a warm smile, patting Kento on the head as he praises them for a job well done. Kento and Clue share a long look before both of them burst out laughing, finally letting the tension melt away. In the back, Ferris tells Kelvin to stop patting her head while Winger just hisses a happy tune. Checking his tablet, Kento is glad to see that Winger has made a full recovery. The system confirms that between the rest in the Beast app and the high-quality potion from Gracis, the little snake is as good as new. Kento leans back against a tree, noticing that Winger even has a fresh, shiny coat after molting. Even so, he cannot help but worry about the baby fox he rescued earlier. A notification pops up showing the horned fox survival rate has climbed to 10%. Now that the little guy is stable, Kento decides it is time to give it a name. Remembering that the adult version of this species can control lightning, he begins typing a name into the screen. Ferris and the crew are glowing after stumbling upon a hidden hot spring right in the middle of the dungeon. They tell Kento it is his turn to soak, and he is not about to say no to that. Our boy is staring at his tablet with a big grin, which immediately gets him caught by the ladies. He tries to play it cool, but his face is basically a billboard that something good happened. He finally spills the beans about taming a brand new monster during the solo run. Meet Lai, the newest member of the squad who is currently busy taking a well-deserved nap. But the ladies are shook to find out our boy actually pulled off a taming session behind their backs. Ferris is salty because she missed all the action, but Gracis just wants to see the new addition to the team. He is not about to gatekeep the goods and whips out his tablet to perform the summon. The area starts glowing as he gives the word to bring the little guy into reality. The vibe shift is instant once the fox actually appears. It turns out the little guy is in rough shape and practically on his deathbed despite being saved earlier. Gracis goes into full panic mode and starts fumbling through her inventory for a fix. She pulls out a high-level potion and tells the MC to get it down the fox's throat immediately. Thankfully, the magic juice does its thing and the baby fox is looking fresh and healthy again. Our hero can finally stop stressing and gives a big thanks to the mentor for the clutch save. With the fox out of danger, the mission objective changes. It is finally time to head to the showers and scrub off all that nasty dungeon grime. He links up with Clue on the way, who is looking a bit weird with a face mask and glasses. He fills her in on the hot spring discovery and invites her along for the soak. Kento admits he tamed the little cub while they were scouting on their own. Clue is left staring, trying to process the news that they have a new team member. The shock hits hard as she realizes how quickly he managed to bond with a wild monster. Looking over at the scenic hot spring, the vibe finally starts to shift from survival to relaxation. Clue confesses she did not actually believe the hot spring was real until she saw the steam rising. The group stands together by the water, finally letting the tension of the day melt away. The prepping for their soak, Kento passes the soap over so they can finally scrub off the dungeon grime. A quick test of the water shows it is the perfect temperature for a long dip. The Lie gets the full spa treatment as Kento works up a thick lather of bubbles. Even Winger gets in on the fun, though Kento wonders if hot water is a normal thing for snakes to enjoy. The baby fox looks like it is living its best life while getting a warm bath. Our boy is just happy to see the little guy finally looking healthy and relaxed again. Though while they are busy getting clean, Clue points out they might as well handle some laundry too. Kento is all for it, getting their clothes ready to hang out in the fresh air. The Clue uses her magic to dry off their clothes. Kento is grateful for the assist since his own gear was soaked too. With the laundry finished, the group gets ready to head back to camp. Back with the rest of the squad, Kento officially introduces the little fox. The girls are instantly obsessed with how soft the new familiar looks. The baby fox isn't exactly a people person yet. He lets out a tiny growl and hides behind Kento as soon as the ladies try to pet him. The Ruggler mentions that catching a horned fox while it is still young is a super rare find. Poor Graces is just devastated that she doesn't get to touch the fluff yet. The Kento explains he just couldn't ignore an injured animal that reminded him of Winger. The veterans agree that these monsters usually stay hidden, so it is a miracle they even met. The wholesome moment gets cut short by a loud stomach growl from Ferris. Flustered and embarrassed, she decides it is time to switch focus and get some dinner started. Our boy decides to whip up a feast using the massive shrimp monster Ruggler brought back. Since the app confirms it tastes like the real deal, he plans to chop it into bite-sized pieces for some sweet and sour shrimp. With the menu set, he starts the grill and scrolls through his recipes while the baby fox looks on with total confusion. Cooking is done and Kento serves up the first plate to his newest little companion. He warns the tiny guy to be careful since it is still fresh off the heat. But the dish looks incredible and smells even better, making the little fox give it a cautious sniff. One bite is all it takes for the tiny creature to realize he just hit the culinary jackpot. Lie is officially in food heaven while the rest of the squad cheers over the gourmet meal. Even in the middle of a dungeon, they are eating like royalty thanks to Kento's skills. With everyone stuffed and happy, the group starts splitting up to handle camp chores or just catch some sleep. Ferris decides a post-meal walk is necessary while the others head out to find more firewood. The fire is crackling and the vibes are chill as someone suggests our boy should finally take a break. He agrees it is time to kick back after doing all that heavy lifting in the kitchen. The Kento notices a strange star mark on Winger's profile in the updated app. It looks like the system has some hidden features he has never seen before, and a prompt pops up asking if he wants to trigger a monster evolution. The evolution prompt is a total curveball. He checks the screen and starts comparing the potential upgrade to the massive adult monsters he saw earlier in the forest. The app gives him a choice between a multi-winged snake and a wind snake. Since the wind snake still has room to grow, he decides not to hit the level cap just yet. But turns out the new cub Lie is also eligible for an upgrade. Kento picks the one-horned lightning fox path and asks the little guy if he is actually ready for this. Both monsters suddenly get wrapped in a blinding light as the system starts the process. Our boy tries to pause the transformation, but the sequence is already in full swing. The Graces suddenly crashes into the scene and starts shouting about the glowing lights. She can't believe our boy is just sitting there while a major miracle is happening right in front of them. She is totally geeking out, claiming this is a once-in-a-lifetime event that most people never get to witness. As the smoke starts to clear, the light fades away to reveal the new forms of his companions. The Winger has finally leveled up into a wind snake, while Little Lie transformed into a one-horned lightning fox. The glow from the evolution fills the camp as both creatures show off their upgraded forms. Our boy is stuck in a state of shock as he stares at the tablet, watching the profiles update in real time. Even Graces is impressed, noting that their appearance has changed. The miracle isn't over yet because both creatures look up and start calling out to their owner and master. Our boy is floored, realizing his monster companions just developed the ability to speak. A week has passed since the dungeon raid, and the squad is back at base to finish some construction. The Ruggler puts the final touches on a new structure, and our boy is impressed with the built-in support magic for climate control. Our MC is hyped and gives a major thank you for the hard work. He is ready to bring the squad out so they can check out their new spot. The base is officially bustling as the new summons make their debut. Reinu and Equus are looking sharp and ready for action. The monsters are feeling the love, and they can't help but talk about how happy they are. Winger notes that the bees are enjoying the new home, but Little Lie is already dreaming about his next meal. The time to celebrate with a feast, and Kento promises to whip up some top-tier seafood. Ruggler is down for the plan, and the monsters are definitely not passing up a culinary jackpot. It finally sinks in that hearing his companions talk wasn't just a hallucination. But the evolution process apparently gave him a direct translation to their language, turning his solo journey into a real team effort. Even though nobody else can hear the chatter, their raw power is undeniable. The both creatures have leveled up their combat stats, making them absolute beasts when it comes to taking down high-level threats. Our boy is putting in the overtime to polish his dagger skills. He is moving with enough speed to make the air whistle. The Kelvin drops a compliment on the improved footwork, and Kento is feeling the love. Having his evolved squad by his side has finally given him the confidence to stay calm in a fight. A magical contact bird poofs into a guild message right in front of Graces. It looks like the mission is officially wrapping up. The mission is officially over, and the squad is ready to call it a day. Graces is already dreaming about her fluffy blanket back at home. With the monster subjugation in the books, the Daybreak crew makes their way back to headquarters. The Ruggler is impressed that Kento managed to tame even more companions by accident. Meanwhile, Lai is being the best boy and bringing back some mysterious materials for his master. The Kento's evolved companions are pulling double duty as translators for the new recruits. The bees are already asking for a proper nest so they can start gathering materials for magic medicine. The Ruggler is having a good laugh about their growing collection of monsters while Graces peeks out from the sidelines. She catches the guys off guard with her casual look and drops the news that Ferris is looking for Kento. The Graces heads back to finish changing as Ruggler assumes this late-night meeting is all about the paycheck. The Kento heads inside to meet with Ferris, who apologizes for the sudden summons. She slides a reward card across the table and thanks him for all the hard work during the 3-week expedition. The Ferris explains how the transfer system works, but Kento is too busy buffering at the numbers on the screen. The total amount is enough to change his life, and Ferris just giggles while handing over the official list of their kills. The Ferris explains that since the veterans handled most of the monsters, the payout split isn't perfectly even. Still, Kento is staring at the number on his screen with wide eyes because it's way more than he ever expected to see. But she calls his name with a gentle expression, making sure he's actually listening. She admits the mission was a bit dangerous, but she's proud of how far he's come and how hard he worked to keep up with them. With a bright smile and her hands clasped together, Ferris drops the biggest compliment yet. She tells him that Daybreak doesn't just need him for cleaning up around the house. They officially value his skills in battle too. Our boy is blushing and absolutely beaming after finally being recognized as a real combat asset. He promises to keep doing his best as Ferris tells him the whole squad is counting on him from now on. Since he's sitting on a massive pile of new money, Kento decides it's time for some serious upgrades. He pulls out the tablet and chooses to level up his shopping and recipe apps to see what new perks he can unlock. The system hits level 3 and the rewards are insane. Not only does he have double the recipes now, but the shopping app has been upgraded so he can finally buy items from this fantasy world instead of just stuff from Earth. Looking at the massive wall of new recipe options, he's completely overwhelmed by all the potential meals he can make. He realizes that investing his gold back into his apps was easily the smartest move he's made so far. Our boy is scrolling through the seafood menu. Ruggler wanted some fish, and the app is definitely delivering with over 100 options. Checking with the squad to make sure they are not picky eaters. Winger is down for whatever, but Lai draws the line at poisonous meat. The seafood pala hits the table and everyone loses their minds. It is so good that Kelvin is already asking for seconds before the first plate is even cleared. The pets are getting in on the feast too. They are vibing with the new recipe and making it very clear this meal is a win. Seeing the squad so happy makes all that gold spent on app upgrades worth it. He lets them know there is plenty of food to go around as the compliments keep flying. The time to head back to civilization. Clue invites him on a trip to town, which is perfect since he has a stash of potions ready to sell. But the little fox is doing surprisingly well with the crowd. He is trotting along like a pro and seems unbothered by all the people around. The Clue admits she is low-key jealous of the whole monster-taming vibe and wants a familiar of her own. Our boy is a real one and promises they can go pet hunting the next time they hit a dungeon, which is exactly what she wanted to hear. But the mood gets a little deeper as Clue starts reflecting on how much her life has changed for the better. As she tells him that she never could have imagined just casually walking through the streets like this before he showed up. With a genuine smile hidden behind her mask, she gives him a sincere thank you for everything he has done. Kento is clearly touched by the sentiment and can only manage to whisper her name as they share a quiet moment. The Kento mentions he needs to swing by the guild, so the duo decides to split up for the afternoon. They exchange final waves as they head off to handle their separate business in the busy city. Reflecting on the journey while walking with his evolved companions, he realizes how good it feels to actually make an impact on others. His pets are not holding back the love either, calling him master and making him feel like a true legend. Laughing at the heartfelt praise, he tells his squad that they are the ones who keep him happy. The monsters are full of gratitude, admitting they would have been long gone without his help. Stepping inside the shop, a warm welcome from the rabbit merchant hits him immediately. It has been a minute since his last visit, and the shopkeeper is definitely hyped to see a familiar face again. Our boy explains he spent 3 weeks trapped in a dungeon because the monster count was off the charts. The shopkeeper is just glad he made it back in one piece and takes the medicines he was waiting for. It turns out his potions are the hottest item in town right now. The merchant is getting spammed with restock requests because everyone wants a piece of that quality. The paycheck is looking fat today. Kento is vibing with the numbers on the invoice, and even the merchant has to admit the quality is top tier. But the shopkeeper notes that while Kento is good, his teacher is still on another level. Kento just laughs it off, acknowledging that his master really is in a league of her own. The being in the same party as a legend like that is basically a cheat code. He promises to keep grinding while the merchant calls the whole situation terrifying. The business talk shifts to a special request. The merchant needs an escort to deliver some high-value medicine, but does not trust the local randoms with it. He wants a team that actually understands how to handle fragile potions. Kento listens as the merchant begs for his squad to take the job, but it is not a call he can make alone. The wrapping things up at the shop. Kento promises to check with the boss while the merchant shows some appreciation for the help. The walking through the village, our boy reflects on taking a direct request outside the guild for the first time as a real party. His newly evolved snake companion nudges him, finally speaking up to call him master. He looks down at his partner with a grin. He asks if they are excited and gets a confident yeah in response. Looking back, it is wild how far he has come since randomly waking up in this fantasy world with zero clues. He went from a panicked nobody to a legit adventurer with a squad of his own. He is definitely finding his groove now. He knows none of this would be possible without that cheat tablet of his. A quick scroll through the apps reveals the toolkit that keeps him alive. From shopping to recipes, this tech is his ultimate survival guide. The pets are already begging for food, proving that evolution did not fix their appetites. Kento suggests meeting up with Clue and heading home to cook a victory meal, and the squad is on board. The walking away with his evolved squad. Our boy just hopes this comfy life in a new world keeps rolling forever. That's it for today, guys! If you made it to the end, comment tablet kun so I know you're real ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Until then, keep on cooking.